Chapter 494. After Lu Qianqian left, the cold aura that permeated the Iron Bones sect completely disappeared. However, the disciples felt that something was missing. They felt that something was wrong when they did their morning exercises. Sect leader Jun wasn't used to it either. After the morning exercises, he sat in the main hall and would occasionally look outside the door. Over there, she would often appear out of nowhere, and then she would lean against the door and say some cold words. Everyone had feelings. Even if these feelings had nothing to do with love. He had interacted with Lu Qianqian for a long time. Although she didn't have much of a presence, now that she was gone, he would definitely feel that something was missing. Sigh. Jun Chengshao let out a long sigh. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have allowed her to go out for training. She just left. Li Luoqiu walked in from outside and smiled. Sect leader, do you miss her? There was a hidden meaning in her words, but sect leader Jun, who was a loner, didn't understand. He said rather sadly, she's the eldest disciple after all. How can I not miss her? Li Luoqiu said, don't think about it. I'll tell you a piece of good news. What good news? Jun Chengshao asked. Li Luoqiu smiled. Xinyang County and Scarlet Sun County have started a war. Both sides have sent 500,000 troops. Jun Chengshao's eyes lit up. It is indeed good news. Xinyang County and a 6th grade county were fighting, so they definitely wouldn't have the time to target Qingyang County. He could develop his sect in peace. Senior martial brother. On the martial arts field, Su Xiaoma said in a low voice, eldest senior martial sister isn't here. Everyone seems to be listless. We need time to get used to it, Li Qingyang said. Swoosh. He stood up and clapped his hands. Don't just stand there. Go do your missions and cultivate. Eldest senior martial sister wasn't here. As the second disciple, he had to shoulder the responsibility. Yes. The disciples adjusted their moods and began to focus on cultivation. Sect leader Jun gradually walked out of the negative emotions brought about by the departure of his eldest disciple and began to plan for the sect's development. First, he had to expand the sect. After accommodating 5,000 disciples, the inner and outer courtyards became more crowded. Expansion was necessary. Upon receiving the order, Li Qingyang took out many architectural sketches and even many small models. Looking at the exquisite architectural model, sect leader Jun asked in surprise, you made it? Okay, Li Qingyang said. Tsk tisk. Jun Chengshao praised, these building models you created are completely comparable to Stylus Lei. Stylized thunder. Li Qingyang was at a loss. Ah. Jun Chengshao did not explain too much. He handed over the spatial ring and said, there are 10 million taels here. Come and get more if it's not enough. Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. Spending 10 million taels to expand the iron bone factory was definitely extravagant. There was no other way. Sect leader Jun lacked cultivation and a large number of talented disciples. The only thing he didn't lack was money. The next day, under the direction of Li Qingyang, the expansion of the Iron Bone Academy's inner courtyard was in full swing. The other disciples continued to cultivate as usual. Sect leader Jun, on the other hand, went to Huyang City after the morning exercise. He bought the mid-grade spirit gathering pill formula, but he lacked the ingredients and seeds to refine it. Sect leader Jun. Inside the medicine shop, AI Shangyao hurried over and said gratefully, guarding Qingyang City is equivalent to guarding Qingyang County. This is a great favor. It's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning, Jun Chengshao said. AI Shangyao's mouth twitched. He faced 300,000 soldiers from Xinyang County head-on and even killed by Ruehu. If this was a small matter, then what was a big matter? Family head AI. Jun Chengshao returned to the main topic, I came this time to purchase some herbs and seeds. As he spoke, he handed over a list of materials. AI Shangyao looked at it carefully and said, Sect leader Jun, we don't have many of these herbs in stock, but we do have a lot of seeds. I'll take all of them, Jun Changshao said straightforwardly. With Elder Wei and the medicine hall around, the seeds were definitely more valuable than normal herbs. AI Shangyao was very efficient. In just an hour, a large batch of herbs and seeds for the mid-grade spirit gathering pill was delivered. How much is it? Sect leader Jun helped Qingyang County resolve the disaster. I'm very grateful. I'll give it all to you for free. This, Jun Changshao reluctantly said, all right then. Before he left, he gave AI Shangyao dozens of healing pills and body-shaping pills. On the main street, Sect leader Jun walked straight, and the people in the city all looked at him with gratitude and admiration. A woman hugged a 3-year-old boy and said, this is the sect leader of Iron Bone Clan. He's the benefactor of Qingyang County. Mother. The child said with a determined gaze, when I grow up, I'll definitely join Iron Bone Clan. Sect leader Jun, an old man, knelt down and said, please accept this old man's bow. He wasn't a native of Qingyang County. 100 years ago, he moved here with his family. The reason for moving was that his hometown had been baptized by war. As someone who had been through it, the old man knew better than anyone the cruelty of war and the importance of a peaceful life. Therefore, he knelt down to thank sect leader Jun. When I wrote this paragraph, I thought of my great-grandmother. She was still alive and was almost 100 years old. When she was young, it was the era when China was invaded by foreign enemies. She took her grandfather, my grandfather, who was still young, to avoid the bombardment of the Japanese shells. We live in a peaceful era, so how can we understand how the older generation of people who were born in a war era live in fear and trepidation? So, we can't forget the shame of the country. Countless ancestors shed their blood to ensure that the country is prosperous and the people are at peace. The future generations should always remember it in their hearts. Old man, please get up. Jun Changshao waved his sleeve, and gentle spiritual energy helped the kneeling old man up. However, just as he helped him up, the people standing on the street knelt on the ground. Sect leader Jun, everyone kowtowed and said, please accept our bow. This, Jun Changshao was very embarrassed and hurriedly left Huyang City. However, just as he walked to a remote area, 2 black shadows flew out from the darkness, their bodies erupting with dense psionic energy. From the aura, they were definitely martial kings. Boom! Boom! Jun Changshao suddenly turned around and directly blasted the person who ambushed him out. Thump! 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 The 2 black shadows landed on the ground and staggered back. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They hid so well and suddenly attacked, but he actually counterattacked so quickly. His reaction was too fast. Jun Changshao retracted his palm and sneered, the 2 of you have been following me for a long time, right? Yes. They had been following him since Huyang City. Sect leader Jun, a rough-looking man in black in his early 30s, cupped his hands and said, your strength is indeed strong. We 2 brothers admire you. Jun Changshao said indifferently, are you people from Xinjiang County? No. People from Demon Fiend Sect? No. People from Deicide Temple? Not either. Jun Changshao was puzzled. He only had these few enemies. If none of them were from Demon Fiend Sect, who could have sent them? Sect leader Jun, the man in black, cupped his hands and said, we 2 brothers have no sect and have been wandering the world all year round. We want to join the Iron Bone Clan. Huh? Jun Changshao was stunned. 2 martial kings took the initiative to join the Iron Bone Clan. This way of opening was a little wrong. Chapter 495. The 2 martial kings who attacked from the dark were about the same age as him, in their early 30s. They also looked similar, so they should be blood brothers. They wanted to join Iron Bone, which made Jun Changshao dumbfounded. Two martial kings wanted to join them just by going out for a trip. This was a bit too mysterious. Or could it be that I have reached the stage where experts from all walks of life would fight to be my underling? Under normal circumstances, Sect leader Jun would definitely suspect that the two of them were spies. However, joining Iron Bone would mean that they would be restricted. They would not dare to obtain information or have their memories erased. Therefore, he was not worried at all. Sect leader Jun said, "You two are martial kings. You should be quite famous in Jianghu, right?" The older man in black cupped his hands and said, "My name is Ning Duxing. My brother is Ning Duzue. Because we broke through to martial king by chance, we are not famous in Jianghu." Ning Duxing. Ning Duzue. Everyone is drunk, I am the only one awake. Everyone is awake, I am the only one drunk. This name was really unique. Ning Duxing said, "We heard that sect leader Jun dared to fight against Jinyang County. You are a man of indomitable spirit, so we came to seek shelter. Please accept us." So that's how it is. Jun Changshao understood. However, you guys came to seek shelter. You didn't have to sneak attack in the dark, right? In fact, the two brothers were just testing the waters. Although their spiritual power was strong, they did not have any killing intent. Because of your names, I will allow you to join Iron Bone Sect. Jun Changshao took out the entry form that he always carried with him. Iron Bone was in urgent need of talented martial cultivators. Since two martial kings came to seek shelter, they would definitely welcome them warmly. Because of my name? Ning Duxing and Ning Duzue looked at each other. Their expressions were a bit interesting. Ding! Sect members, 500-210000. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500-210000. After accepting the two, Jun Changshao said, "Let's go. Follow me back to Iron Bone Sect." Yes. The two Ning brothers cupped their hands and said. From their tone, it was obvious that they had already entered the role of Iron Bone disciples. Sect leader Jun couldn't help but mutter in his heart. Were they really sincere in coming to rely on him? The eldest brother, Ning Duxing, was more cheerful and talkative. His brother, Ning Duzue, was more indifferent. He had only said, yes, from the beginning to the end. What are your realms? On the way, Jun Changshao asked. Reporting to Sect Master. Ning Duxing said, both of us are rank 5 martial kings now. TSK. For these two rogue cultivators to be able to become martial kings and even break through to rank 5, they must have had an extraordinary fortuitous encounter. Speaking of fortuitous opportunities, sect leader Jun thought of Ren Shan. Was it because he had recruited him into the Iron Bone that he was so lucky that even the martial king had sided with him? Sect leader. In the main hall, Li Qingyang sent a voice transmission in astonishment. These two martial kings, were they really picked up on the road? Okay, Jun Changshao replied. Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. Sect leader went to Huyang City and came back to pick up two martial kings. It was truly inconceivable. Jiang Ye sent a voice transmission. Sect leader, I've heard of these two people. They seem to be from the southeast province. They roam the Jianghu all year round and are called the Ning Duo. Jun Changshao asked in astonishment, they are bandits? Jiang Ye said, they specialize in robbing the rich to help the poor, so they are called bandits. Later on, they offended too many people and couldn't survive in the southeast province. They began to wander around. The common people called them the Ning Duo. The circle of martial kings was only so big. Those who were slightly famous would definitely be known by their peers. So that's how it is. Jun Changshao suddenly understood. At this moment, he finally understood why these two brothers came to him to seek refuge. Why? Because he had defended Qingyang City and protected countless common people. Since these two were chivalrous people, they must have been moved by what he had done and were willing to lower themselves to become iron-bone disciples. Sigh. Jun Changshao thought to himself, if there were more chivalrous people like them in the world, I wouldn't have to worry about not being able to recruit capable people. You're thinking too much. The system said, in the Falling Star continent, where martial arts are respected, such people are as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. Jun Changshao ignored it and ordered, Qingyang, you're in charge of these two people. Yes. Li Qingyang led the Ning brothers to the inner courtyard and told them about the sect. Martial kings. Our iron bone disciples are getting more and more powerful. Even such powerhouses are willing to join us. We can't embarrass the sect leader. We still need to work hard in cultivation. The iron bone disciples heard the news and came over, all of them whispering. In the past, they, who were born ordinary, had never thought that one day they would be in the same sect as martial kings and be in close contact with them. In the herb garden. With Elder Wei's expansion, it had reached a size of 1,000 acres. Jun Changshao walked over and looked at the rich spiritual energy gathered in the sky. His eyes immediately filled with pride. The Iron Bone Mountain, which was originally in the middle of nowhere, had undergone earth-shattering changes under his management. He was absolutely filled with a sense of accomplishment. Just you wait. Sect Master Jun swore in his heart, I will turn this mountain into a holy land for martial artists. Everyone will come from all directions to worship me. The system said, this goal is as difficult as making the sect the strongest in the Falling Star continent. It's only challenging if it's difficult. Jun Changshao said. Isn't it just the beginning of hell mode? Since I've shouldered such a fate, I will never give up or surrender. Elder Wei. Jun Changshao said, I have some high-level seeds here. Divide a medicinal field and plant them. Okay. Elder Wei took the seeds and looked at them carefully. How long will it take to mature? Jun Changshao asked. Elder Wei said, a month. A month? It wasn't too long. He could afford to wait. Elder Wei didn't directly plant the seeds in the medicinal field. Instead, he placed them in the seed incubation pool for nurturing first. Jun Changshao returned to the courtyard. At this moment, a ding sound rang in his ears. AI Shangyao had given him a lot of ready-made medicinal herbs that could be used to refine mid-grade qi gathering pills, so he had already started refining on the way back to the sect. In the study. Little Long Long was still asleep and showed no signs of waking up. Jun Changshao sat down and took out the newly refined mid-grade qi gathering pills from his interspatial ring. He enveloped them with his spiritual sense and muttered, the spiritual energy is so abundant. The medicinal herbs that AI Shangyao gave were all ordinary, and the pills refined were also very ordinary. The speed of increasing spiritual energy was only 30 times. I'll let the inner sect disciples take these pills first. The next day, Jun Changshao sent the hundreds of mid-grade qi gathering pills into the pill machine. In the martial arts practice field. A melodious divine song rang out. Jun Changshao led the disciples in a dance. The Ning brothers, who had just joined Iron Bone, looked ashamed. After the dance, they wished they could find a hole to hide in. There was no other way. Morning exercises and dancing were a major feature of Iron Bone. Even martial kings were no exception. Chapter 496. How could a martial king be a disciple in the sect? So sect leader Jun started to think about what kind of position to give them. Hall master. There didn't seem to be any other halls for them to manage. The system suggested, the sect lacks elders. Why don't you appoint them as elders? That's possible. Jun Changshao also thought about it, but he held his chin and said, we can't give them that right after they enter the sect. We need to observe them carefully. How would he observe them? After thinking about it, he decided to let the Ning brothers teach the disciples first. Jiang Ye was overjoyed when he heard the news. As the only elder in the sect, he would hold a lecture every once in a while to guide the disciples on the path of martial arts. At first, Jiang Ye didn't think much of it. He even thought it was a good job. But when he met Shengguan Xinyao, it was the beginning of the tragedy. This girl with extremely high martial arts attainments asked as many questions as the stars in the sky. Elder Jiang had a splitting headache from all the questions. He wished he was dead. Every time he went to teach Wu-Tang, he would rush to the battlefield with the determination to never return. To be able to torture our elder Jiang like this, it was obvious how terrifying Shengguan Xinyao was. Now that the sect leader sent 2 martial kings to teach the disciples martial arts, wasn't it the same as breaking free from the sea of suffering? Jiang Ye was so excited that he almost drank in the cafeteria to celebrate. Sect leader Jun let the Ning brothers start by teaching the disciples and observe them for a month. If their performance was good, it wasn't impossible to appoint them as elders. After making the necessary arrangements, he began to focus on his cultivation. However, because they were martial kings, not only did they need to consume a lot of resources, they also needed a long time. Cultivating step by step is still too slow. Jun Changshao murmured, "If I complete the mission and get experience talismans to break through, that's the best way." The system said, "Dream on." Jun Changshao ignored it and started to think about the hidden missions he had completed recently. He wanted to see if there were any missions that were related to eliminating evil for the people. In the end, there were too many hidden missions related to idioms. No matter how he thought about it, he didn't have a clue. The system said, hidden missions are about letting nature take its course. Host should focus on the right path. AI. Jun Changshao withdrew his unrealistic thoughts and skillfully opened the middle-tier store. Previously, he had bought quite a number of formulas, but because he didn't have enough contribution points, he hadn't finished browsing through all of them. It was a pity. The subsequent products had no purchase value. With a thought, Jun Changshao spent 100 contribution points to refresh the shop. His luck was too bad. After browsing through all the new products, he still didn't see anything decent. Sect Master Jun was greatly disappointed. "I have 5 points of luck. Why didn't I get anything good?" The system said, "The luck value only increases the host's luck. It's not like there's a 100% chance of getting something good." Jun Chang opened the shop and his eyes lit up when he saw the new product. The second item in the first row was a secret manual. Written on it were 4 bold and powerful words: 10,000 swords return to origin. Swordplay. This was a sword technique. Jun Changshao hurriedly clicked on the details. Item, 10,000 returning swords. Introduction, a forbidden sword technique from a certain dimension. It was later modified and perfected by a mysterious almighty being. Its power is unfathomable. Effect, it is divided into 3 realms. The first realm is 10,000 swords returned to 1. The second realm is 10,000 swords. The third realm is if I am the sword, there will be no sword under the heavens. Advantage, this technique is extraordinarily powerful after being modified. It can be considered a top-grade sword technique. Disadvantage, it is difficult to learn, difficult to master, and consumes a lot of energy. Even if you comprehend it, do not use it rashly unless you are a sword king or above. Otherwise, you will suffer a backlash. If light, you will be injured. If heavy, you will die. Price, 2,000 contribution points. Level, none. None. Seeing the level introduction, Jun Changshao was dumbfounded. From the introduction and advantages, this was definitely a very powerful sword technique. How could it not have a level? The system explained, in the vast universe, there are as many experts as there are clouds. Some almighty beings may have created martial techniques that are beyond the system's calculation range, so it is unable to give an accurate level classification. Jun Changshao said in surprise, even the system can't calculate it. This 10,000 swords returned to origin must be super powerful. Ding! Host has spent 2,000 contribution points. You have obtained 10,000 swords returned to Origin X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 280210000. After purchasing the 10,000 swords returned to Origin, the system did not automatically match it with the Sect's cultivation technique. It could be seen that this sword technique was not suitable for disciples to cultivate in large quantities. Thinking about it, it made sense. After all, it was a sword technique. Among the Iron Bone disciples, only Zhou Hong had the aptitude for the sword. Shua. Sect leader Jun waved his hand and took out the sword technique that emitted the sword force. He couldn't wait to read it. However, after just looking at the first stage, 10,000 swords returned to 1, he felt like he understood it. He couldn't help but sigh, it's a bit difficult. The martial techniques bought in the mall were easy to understand, no matter how high the level was. Only the Ling Jian divine art and the 10,000 swords returned to Origin were exceptions. Still, Sword Dao martial arts were so unfathomable. Even if it's difficult, I have to learn it. In the following time, Jun Changshao focused on comprehending the sword technique and didn't even cultivate. However, 10,000 swords returned to Origin was too profound. Sect leader Jun cultivated in his room for 5 days and only comprehended a little. This question is too difficult. He hugged his head and roared to the sky, I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to do it. Everyone thought that sect leader Jun was extremely monstrous now. He was the king of martial arts and the king of sword Dao. Little did they know that he was stumped by a sword technique. This also meant that there were countless martial arts in the world, and there was no lack of profound and unfathomable martial arts. I don't believe this. Sect leader Jun and the 10,000 swords returned to Origin were exhausted. He handed over the sect's matters to Li Qingyang and Li Luoqiu and completely focused on comprehending the sword technique. This shouldn't be. Why is this question so difficult? Every once in a while, when a disciple passed by the courtyard and occasionally heard a breakdown, he couldn't help but secretly ask, what's wrong with sect leader? Time flew. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The medicinal herbs needed to refine mid-grade qi gathering pills had matured under the hard work of Elder Wei and the members of the medicine hall. Sect leader Jun was still cooped up in his room and didn't come out. Second senior brother. Lu Wanshi sent the food over as usual and said worriedly, sect leader still locked himself in his room. He hasn't eaten for a few days. Is he seriously ill? Li Qingyang almost fell over. This little girl still spoke so innocently. Sigh. Li Qingyang shook his head and said, I didn't expect that eldest senior sister's departure would bring such a big blow to sect leader. If Jun Changshao heard this, he would definitely send a flying kick over. Abnormal your head. I'm comprehending a profound sword technique, not because of Lu Qianqian. Senior brother. Su Xiaoma said, let's go and persuade sect leader. Don't let him miss eldest senior sister too much. All right. Li Qingyang led the disciples to the courtyard. Just as they reached the door, they heard loud laughter coming from the room. Lu Wanshi said nervously, sect leader can't be crazy, right? Boom. Suddenly, the door was pushed open. A cold sword aura erupted, blowing everyone's black hair into a mess. Ta! Jun Changshao took a big step forward and laughed. I understand this question. Li Qingyang and the other disciples were dumbfounded. They hadn't seen each other for a month. Sect leader's hair was messy, and he was sloppy, like a beggar on the street. Sect leader. Su Xiaoma said weakly, Are you okay? Jun Changshao pushed away the messy hair covering his eyes and laughed. Today, I'll let you see what it means to unite 10,000 swords into one. Swoosh. He jumped and flew to the top of the main hall. As a result, as soon as he landed on it, his feet slipped and he fell straight down. Plop. Aya. Chapter 497. Humans were made of iron and rice was made of steel. If he did not eat, he would be hungry. Sect Master Jun, who had not eaten for 6 or 7 days, was preparing to show off in front of his disciples. However, when he landed on the main hall, his body collapsed and he fell down. It was a pity that he failed to show off and ended up losing. In the dining hall, Jun Changshao, who had a big bump on his head, was wolfing down food. There were already a few plates beside him. Sect Master, eat slowly. Don't choke, Lu Wancher said worriedly. Phew. After eating a few more dishes and 2 bowls of rice, Jun Changshao put down his chopsticks and wiped his mouth with a napkin. Do, your culinary skills are getting better. It was not that his culinary skills were good. It was because he had been hungry for too long. Even if it was a bowl of cabbage stew, he could taste the delicacies. Sect Master. Lu Wancher blinked her eyes and said, the culinary competition in southwest Yangzhou will begin in a month. Huh? Jun Changshao scratched his head and said awkwardly, if you did not mention it, I would have forgotten. He had experienced too many things recently. How could he remember? Lu Wancher's eyes were filled with resentment as she said dejectedly, I knew that Sect Master did not take it seriously. Don't worry. Jun Changshao patted her head and smiled gently, I will bring you to participate and let the world know what it means to be a god of cooking. He had promised in the past that he would bring Lu Wancher. Furthermore, the matter in Jinyang County was settled. There was nothing else to do. He could spare some time to go out and walk around. Perhaps he would be able to pick up 4,988 martial kings with monstrous aptitudes. Just as Jun Changshao was dreaming, Lu Wancher placed a bowl of fried rice on the table and said with a smile, this is the fried rice that I recently developed. After eating it, you can increase your strength. Sect Master, please try it. Jun Changshao immediately became nervous. He had once eaten the strength food made by the little girl. In the end, he was carried to the medicine hall for emergency treatment. It was definitely a psychological shadow. Lu Wancher said with a serious face, Sect Master, disciple now knows many herbs like the back of her hand. The food that I developed this time will definitely not have any poison. Please eat it without worry. Jun Changshao was still worried. But when he saw that the little girl's face was full of expectation and didn't want to refuse, he could only pick up the fried rice and then walk out of the cafeteria. He called Su Xiaoma, who was playing soccer outside, over and said, finish the fried rice. If he didn't dare to do it himself, he would have his disciple do it. This was really particular. Sect leader. Su Xiaoma said, this disciple has just eaten. I'm not hungry yet. Just eat when I tell you to. Stop talking nonsense. Oh. Su Xiaoma took the fried rice. Just as he was about to pick up his chopsticks to eat, he heard Lu Wancher say with a smile, Senior brother, this is a strength food that I developed. After eating it, you can increase your strength. Ah. Su Xiaoma was stunned. The scene of the sect master spitting out white foam and his entire body twitching as he was carried into the medicine hall appeared in his mind. Sect master, he was about to cry as he said, can this disciple not eat? I must. Jun Changshao took out a pill and said, this is an antidote pill. If you feel that something is wrong, you can take it immediately. The antidote pill is already prepared. Today, I have to be prepared to die and test the poison with my body. Sect master. Su Xiaoma held the fried rice, his eyes filled with determination as he said, this disciple will still be a disciple of the Iron Bone Upright sect in my next life. As he spoke, he swallowed a mouthful resolutely. Gradually, Su Xiaoma's expression changed. His muscles began to twist, giving people the feeling that he was poisoned. Sect Master Jun hurriedly stuffed the antidote pill into his mouth. However, Su Xiaoma picked up his chopsticks and finished the fried rice. Then, he said with joy, Sect Master, this fried rice is not only delicious, but it can also increase strength. Gah! Jun Chengshao was stunned. Bang! Su Xiaoma punched the testing machine. His strength was 400,000 jin. In the month that Sect Master Jun comprehended the Sword Dao, his realm broke through from the 6th stage to the 7th stage. Wuzong, his strength was 370,000 jin. In other words, after eating Lu Wancher's fried rice, his strength increased by 30,000 jin. Some people might say that it was not much. One had to know that this was just a bowl of fried rice, not a pill, and not a strength-increasing talisman. After eating it, Wuzong's strength increased by 30,000 jin. It was absolutely inconceivable. Let me try. Jun Chengshao ordered Lu Wancher to make another bowl of strength fried rice. When he punched the testing machine, his strength was displayed as 4 million jin. An increase of 400,000 jin. The system said, the fried rice made by this little girl contains many types of heaven and earth spiritual energy. It can provide 10% of the host's strength. Compared to the strength-increasing talisman, Lu Wancher's strength fried rice was definitely not worth mentioning. However, it still made Jun Chengshao very happy. Food could be made casually without using any herbs. Eating a meal to increase one's combat strength by 10%, this was definitely a very good thing. How long can it last? Jun Chengshao asked. After analyzing, the system said, looking at the energy consumption of the host's food, it should last for 2 hours. Not bad. Jun Chengshao looked at Lu Wancher and said, Do, your strength fried rice is too magical. Hee hee. Receiving the sect leader's praise, Lu Wancher smiled brightly. Jun Chengshao said, if it can be mass-produced, not only can it be used to satisfy hunger, it can also increase one's strength. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I have already grasped the main points. Frying a few big pots is not a problem. Lu Wancher said. Then what are you waiting for? Jun Chengshao urged, hurry up and fry as much as you can. Lu Wancher's strength fried rice was really mysterious. However, it also had its flaws. It had to be eaten to achieve the effect of increasing one's strength. If eating a bite can increase one's strength, that would be even better, Jun Chengshao said. Lu Wancher said, Sect leader, I can improve it. She had learned a lot of knowledge about herbs from Elder Wei, so she could use it to experiment without restraint. Jun Chengshao said, then work hard. Try to make a fried rice that can increase one's strength with just a small bite. Lu Wancher nodded heavily, I will. Jun Chengshao distributed the few big pots of rice that had just been fried to the disciples, letting them each take a big bowl and store it in their space rings. Other martial cultivators would store pills, crystal cores, silver notes, and various martial resources in their rings. Iron Bone disciples would put fried rice. Not only was this strange, it had to be done thoroughly. Because of the fall, sect leader Jun was not interested in showing off his 10,000 swords returned to sect. Instead, he asked the Ning brothers about the situation of teaching the disciples in the past month. Their performance was not bad, and the disciples had benefited greatly. In view of the two's performance, sect leader Jun announced that the Ning brothers were appointed as elders. At this point, the Iron Bones sect now had 3 elders, all of whom were martial kings. Even a 5th-rate sect could not compare to them. After the appointment, Jun Chengshao came to the medicine hall to collect all kinds of herbs. After being nurtured by the seed incubation pool and being carefully cultivated by Elder Wei, the newly matured herbs had abundant spirit energy. Ding! Ding! Middle-grade energy gathering pills were refined continuously. After Jun Chengshao took 1 pill, he judged that the elixir refined from this kind of high spiritual herbs could reach 50 times the absorption speed. My iron bone has resources to improve cultivation faster. If I can't become stronger, it will be unreasonable. Sect leader. Half a month later, Lu Wancher said, the culinary competition is about to start. When are we going? Let's go tomorrow, Jun Changshao said. Okay. The next day, Lu Wancher made a sumptuous meal for herself and the sect leader. After the two ate, they set off with peace of mind. The place they were going to was the heavenly mandate imperial city. It had been almost 2 years since he transmigrated to the other world. Jun Changshao was going to the largest city in southwest Yangzhou for the first time, so he was looking forward to seeing what was different about the imperial city. Chapter 498. There was still half a month before the culinary competition in southwest Yangzhou. Jun Changshao brought Lu Wancher and left. He did not bring the other disciples with him because he hoped that they could increase their cultivation as soon as possible. As for the thousands of middle-grade qi-gathering pills, they had already been distributed to the pill machine. The disciples could receive them at a fixed time. As the sect developed, sect leader Jun would soon be able to take over. If there is a device that is interconnected with the space ring, even if I am not in the sect, I can refine pills, weapons, and other items and distribute them to the various machines with one click. Jun Changshao thought. The system said, yes, but it depends on luck. Is that so? Jun Changshao's eyes lit up. He was traveling around the falling star continent. What if his disciples lacked pills? It was simple. Elder Wei would send the herbs he planted to the equipment and send them to the space ring. After refining them, he would send them to the pill machine to replenish them. Thinking of this, Jun Changshao was even more looking forward to it. Speaking of which, why didn't he just hire some alchemists to refine pills? The system's pill pavilion could easily refine pills with one click. Moreover, the pills refined were extremely awesome. Why would he need to hire an alchemist? Although sect leader Jun was only one person, he could do many kinds of work. Pills, weapons, talismans, and even spirit weapons could be done by himself. He was absolutely omnipotent. What was even more amazing was that he didn't even need to do it himself. It could be said that it saved him a lot of trouble and effort. Ah! Standing in the beautiful wilderness, Jun Changshao opened his arms and smelled the intoxicating scent of the grass. He sighed, it's not bad to come out and relax. Lu Wancher sat on a rock, holding her chin with her hand. Her face was filled with conflict. What are you thinking about? Jun Changshao said. Nothing. Lu Wancher said in a panic. Jun Changshao sat down and said, after leaving the sect, you've been frowning. Is there something on your mind? No, Lu Wancher said, no, there's nothing on my mind. Jun Changshao was speechless. Her thoughts were written all over her face. If he couldn't see it, wouldn't he be blind? Let me guess what's on your mind. Jun Changshao pondered for a moment and said, you must have an extraordinary identity to be able to make a strength-enhancing fried rice, right? What kind of extraordinary identity can I have? When Lu Wancher said this, her two big eyes kept shaking. Jun Changshao saw this and continued, as far as I know, there is also a family head in Yangzhou in the southwest who specializes in cooking. The food he makes can improve one's martial strength. Lu Wancher said, are you talking about the Ouyang clan of the heavenly mandate imperial city? Not bad, Jun Changshao said. Lu Wancher said, Sect Master thinks I'm from the Ouyang clan. It's hard for me to believe that an ordinary person can make fried rice that increases strength, Jun Changshao said. This meant that he believed that the little girl was from the Ouyang family. Otherwise, how could she develop such a magical food? All right. Lu Wancher said, I'll be honest. I'm related to the Ouyang clan. Jun Changshao was not surprised. After taking in this girl, Lu Qianqian also had doubts. Although he did not take it seriously, he must have thought about it when he was bored. It was not just Lu Wanshi. Sect Master Jun had thought about many disciples. The one who thought about it the most was Lu Qianqian, because her intuition told her that the story behind this disciple was definitely not simple. Until now, Jun Changshao still thought that such a talented woman joined the Iron Bones sect to avoid the pursuit of her enemies. So when Lu Qianqian went out to experience the world, she said that no matter what danger she encountered, the sect would be her strongest support. I don't care who the enemy is or how strong they are. If they dare to hurt my disciple, I will use all the power of the sect to kill them. Sect Master Jun's personality was to protect his disciples. It could be seen when his disciples were bullied by the evil sects of Huayang County in Death Valley and were all killed. Just related? Jun Changshao asked. Lu Wanshi lowered her head, her small hands clenched together as she said softly, Sect Master, I am actually the illegitimate daughter of the Ouyang clan. She used a lot of courage to say the last 3 words, even her body was trembling slightly. Is that so? Jun Changshao replied. He guessed that Lu Wanshi was related to the Ouyang clan, but he didn't expect her to be an illegitimate daughter. In his previous world, illegitimate children did not sound good to begin with, and they would even be criticized by others. In the other world, it was definitely worse than that. My mother was a normal person. Lu Wanshi said, she met that bastard and then I was born. That bastard was definitely her father. Then, my mother died from a serious illness, leaving me alone. That bastard found me and brought me back to the Ouyang clan. The more Lu Wanshi spoke, the more furious the hatred in her eyes became. Entering the Ouyang clan was the start of her nightmare. Jun Changshao could guess it. An illegitimate daughter entering a big family would definitely be targeted by her own family. Yes. Lu Wanshi was often bullied by her own family, and being called a bastard was the most common. Because of her background, the little loli could tolerate it. But the more she tolerated it, the worse it got. She couldn't tolerate it anymore, and one day, she quietly left the Ouyang clan. In order to not be found, Lu Wanshi came to the most remote Qingyang County, which was why she met Jun Changshao in Qingyang City. She always followed her mother's surname. Although the surname Ouyang represented honor, she didn't want it at all. If she had a choice, Lu Wanshi even wanted to give up the Ouyang clan's blood, even if she had to be the poorest ordinary person. However, her bloodline was born with it, how could she give it up just like that? Lu Wanshi's mother was very normal. But she inherited her father's cooking talent. Although she only lived in the Ouyang clan for a year, she had an extraordinary understanding. In this world, there were really people with extraordinary talent. Lu Wanshi was one of them. Although she had never entered the Ouyang clan's kitchen, just by secretly watching, she was able to learn by herself. If she received professional guidance, her cooking skills would definitely improve greatly. It was a pity. Because she was an illegitimate daughter, she was destined not to be qualified to learn the Ouyang clan's ancestral cooking skills. If you don't let me learn, I'm too lazy to learn. Lu Wanshi began to ponder on her own, and just by relying on her own talent, she successfully developed a fried rice that could improve strength. If this matter was learned by the Ouyang clan, it would definitely cause quite a stir. After all, without learning the Ouyang clan's recipes, she could develop a dish that could improve martial arts strength. It was simply incredible. Thinking of the past that she couldn't bear to look back on, Lu Wanshi was in low spirits. She wasn't like Long Xiang, who had to prove to the bullies that he was wronged. She just wanted to cut ties with the Ouyang clan forever. However, the cooking competition was held in the Heavenly Mandate Royal City, and the Ouyang clan would definitely send their direct descendants to participate. What should she do? Jun Changshao touched her head and said with a smile, when you go to the Heavenly Mandate Royal City this time, if the Ouyang clan dares to bully you, I will make them pay a painful price. He set a flag. It seemed that going to the heavenly mandate royal city would be another trip to show off. Chapter 499. There was still plenty of time. Jun Chengshao brought Lu Wanshi along as they traveled at a moderate pace. They passed by towns and cities to experience the local customs of the other world. However, they did not see the good side. They only saw the dark side. The villages were still fine as the people were simple and honest. In the slightly bigger towns, there would always be some martial cultivators bullying the weak and taking advantage of the weak. Among them, some clans were the most serious. They had hired thugs and servants, and they were unscrupulous bullies when they walked on the streets. The Falling Star continent also had government organizations that were only used to restrain the ordinary people. As for the big clans, they could only turn a blind eye. From what Jun Chengshao saw and heard, he deeply realized that although the Azure Sun County was small, the 8 city lords were at least doing something. The outside world was actually so cruel. Bang! In a certain town, a ferocious-looking cultivator kicked out an old singer and said, "It's your fortune that my young master likes your daughter. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" "Father!" a 15-year-old girl cried. She was surrounded by a few thugs with a smile on her face. These people were the Jin family's hired thugs. The young man in embroidered clothes who looked passable standing next to her was the Jin family's young master. He was a complete good-for-nothing. The passers-by on the street secretly shook their heads, thinking that the girl would not be able to escape today. Mississippi, young Master Jin smiled and said, "Since you followed me, I won't treat you badly." As he spoke, he walked over with a lewd look in his eyes. The girl was so frightened that her face turned pale. However, because of the thugs around her, she could not retreat at all. "Sect Master." At that moment, a clear voice sounded. "Is this considered taking liberties with a good woman in broad daylight?" "Yes," someone said. Young Master Jin frowned slightly. He looked in the direction of the voice and saw a man and a woman walking on the street. The man was about 18 or 19 years old, and the girl was about 11 or 12 years old. Young Master Jin's eyes lit up when he saw the petite and cute girl. He smiled naughtily and said, "What a beauty." "Sect Master." The girl frowned and said, "This guy's gaze is so annoying." "I'll help you beat him up," the man said. "Beat me up?" Young Master Jin laughed. The group of thugs surrounding the young girl also laughed. Bang! The sound of a fist suddenly rang out. The smiles on the faces of the Jin family's hired thugs immediately froze. This was because the seemingly weak young man was already standing in front of the young master, his fist landing on the young master's chest. His speed was so fast that he didn't even see it. "Does it hurt?" The young man raised his fist and said innocently. Young Master Zhen was still standing in the same spot, but his expression was gradually becoming more and more ferocious. "It hurts. If it hurts, why aren't you flying out?" Young Master Zhen's entire body was lifted off the ground. Then, he flew backward and landed more than 30 meters away. He clutched his chest and screamed like a pig being slaughtered. The commoners on the streets were stunned. He threw a punch and it took a while for it to fly out. What kind of operation was this? An expert. The martial cultivators hidden in the crowd were secretly shocked. In their opinion, someone who could send young Master Zhen flying like this definitely had extremely high control over his strength. However, that was the young master of the Zhen family. It would be hard to escape unscathed after beating someone up in their territory. As expected, the Zhen family's hired thugs came back to their senses. They angrily rushed forward and surrounded the young man. They glared at him as if they wanted to kill him with their eyes. "How dare you hit our young master? Are you alive?" Before a martial cultivator could finish his words, a cold palm flew directly toward him. The young man slapped him in the face. Then, he waved his other hand and accurately hit the faces of the surrounding martial cultivators. Slap! 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 In an instant, 6 or 7 of the Jin family's hired thugs were sent flying. The people on the streets were completely dumbfounded. That young man clearly kept a certain distance from the Jin family's hired thugs, but when he attacked, they felt as if he was right in front of them. An expert, an expert. The martial cultivators were shocked. Young Master Zhen, who got up from the ground, clutched his chest and said angrily, "Despicable guy, just you wait." He hurriedly turned around and fled in a sorry state. He wanted to go home and ask for help. He wanted to call all the hired thugs of his family to tear this guy into pieces. Father. In the Jin family's main hall, the Jin family's patriarch was talking with a guest. When he heard his son's crying voice, his face suddenly darkened. Father. Young Master Jin staggered in. With tears in his eyes, he said, "I was beaten up outside." Slap. The Jin family's patriarch slammed the table and said angrily, "Who is so bold?" "It's me." A voice came from outside. Young Master Zhen was stunned. He hurriedly looked outside and saw that the young man who beat him had actually followed him in. He gritted his teeth and said, "Father, it's him." The Jin family's patriarch strode out. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He said, "Kid, how did you get in?" "I walked in," the young man said. The Jin family's patriarch's face was extremely ugly. Were the guards at the gate idiots? They let an outsider walk in without any scruples. They were idiots. Because they were all beaten into idiots. They were lying on the ground together, twitching all over. "Kid." The guest also came out. He stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "You beat up young Master Zhen and trespassed into the Zhen family's residence. You are really bold." Zhen family's patriarch. He said, "Let me take action on your behalf and teach this ignorant kid a lesson." The Zhen family's patriarch said, "Thank you." This was a Wuzong-level elder of a 5th-rate sect. If he personally took action on behalf of his family, it would be very honorable. "Kid." Elder son said coldly, "Hurry up and kneel down and apologize to the Zhen family's patriarch. Then, I can spare your life." Otherwise, his voice stopped abruptly when he said this. Because he glanced at the waist tag hanging on the young man's waist. There were 4 words engraved on it: unyielding iron bone. Elder son's face changed drastically. He said in shock, You are a disciple of the unyielding iron bone sect? Unyielding iron bone sect? The Jin family's patriarch was stunned. He had naturally heard of the sect that was in the limelight recently. Coincidentally, the two of them were just talking about the Iron Bone sect and the sect master bringing his disciples to Huayang County to destroy the 4 evil sects. Whoosh! The young man appeared in front of Elder Son and threw a punch. Bang! Elder Son's face suddenly became ferocious after his abdomen was hit hard. Then, he fell down like a pile of mud. Ga. The Jin family's patriarch was dumbfounded. How did this guy come over? Slap. The young man reached out and grabbed the Jin family's patriarch's neck. He looked at Elder Son who was lying on the ground and said, "I killed him. Do you have any objections? This seat. Could he be Jun Changshao?" Elder Son endured the pain and said hurriedly, "No objections. No objections." The young man looked at the Jin family's patriarch and said indifferently, "If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. You are not a good person either." Crack. The young man tightened his grip. The Jin family's patriarch did not even have the chance to speak before his head tilted to the side. "Father." Young Master Zhen was terrified. The young man threw the corpse aside and walked in front of him. He said, "Don't cheat your father again in your next life." Whoosh! A sword flashed and the head fell to the ground. The town was in an uproar. The heads of the Jin family's patriarch and his son, who had committed all kinds of crimes, were hanging on the city gate. There were also 4 words written in blood on the wall: unyielding iron bone. Unyielding iron bone. Is it the Azure Sun County's unyielding iron bone sect? The 4 evil sects that were destroyed in Huayang County also left behind similar words. It must be them. While the crowd was discussing, the young man who brought the girl away heard a crisp sound. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, Punish Evil and Eliminate Evil 5. You have received 500 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 480210000. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the series of missions, Punish Evil and Eliminate Evil. You have received 2000 contribution points and the title, Chivalrous Light. Ding! Sect contribution points, 680210000. Chapter 500. On the way to the Heavenly Mandate Imperial City, Jun Changshao encountered a group of ruffians bullying the weak. They were almost beaten to death. Finally, under Lu Wanchu's pleas, he acted to punish them. In the end, he unexpectedly completed the second hidden mission, Punish Evil and Eliminate Evil. The first time this mission appeared was to destroy the Black Eagle Hall. Now that it was completed again, Master Jun realized that it was a series of missions like eliminating evil for the people. As a result, Master Jun went from being indifferent to a chivalrous warrior who walked the world with his sword. As long as he passed by a city and encountered a bully, he would definitely teach them a lesson. As for the vicious ones, he would kill them mercilessly. The system once said, without such a mission, you will definitely not do good. Nonsense. Jun Changshao said, in this dangerous world, if there is no reward, I will definitely not do good. For a few days, he taught a lot of bullies and took care of many ruffians. The missions of Punish Evil and Eliminate Evil were completed one after another. Each mission gave him 500 contribution points. It was to find targets better. Jun Changshao asked around as he hurried along. He learned that the Jin family of Tongling Town was a playboy who did all kinds of evil. So he locked on to his target and rushed over with Lu Wanchu. The rumors were true. As soon as he entered the town, he saw the Jin family bullying people. Especially when the father learned that his son was being bullied, his eyes were full of murderous intent. He was obviously not a good person. Master Jun went all out and dealt with the father and son together. In this way, the series of missions of Punish Evil and Eliminate Evil were completed. He received a total of 4000 contribution points and a title of Light of Chivalry. Nice! Master Jun walked on the road and opened the system panel. He put on the new title. His luck increased from the initial 5 points to 10 points. Master, Lu Wanchu said, if we kill them and leave them behind, others will know that we did it. Jun Chung smiled and said, I just want to let others know. The system was speechless. Are you not afraid of trouble? I am, Jun Changshao said. The system broke down. If you are afraid, why did you leave clues? Are you looking for trouble? Jun Changshao said, if the Jin family wants revenge but can't find the murderer, will they vent their anger on the people I saved? The system was silent for a moment, then said, yes. That's why I want them to know who killed them and who they should seek revenge from. Jun Changshao shrugged. So that's what he was thinking. Furthermore, Jun Changshao said, killing these evil people is undoubtedly doing the people a favor. Letting the world know that it was our Iron Bone Jing sect who did this, won't it also raise our prestige? It was true. Everyone in Tongling Town was talking about the Iron Bone Righteous sect at this moment. They had deep respect for them. Young Master Zhen had been a tyrant in the town for a long time. Countless innocent women had been harmed by him. Now that he had been killed by Iron Bone, it was a great satisfaction. If the system had reputation, my chivalrous deeds would definitely have increased a lot, Jun Changshao said. The system poured cold water on him, it will also bring unnecessary trouble. Ling Yao Sect. Elder's son, who was injured in the Zhen family, walked into the main hall with a pale face. Elder Sunday, an elder asked in surprise, "What happened to you?" Elder's son said, "I was injured." That person was instantly furious, who ate the bear's heart and leopard's guts. Don't mention it. Elder son's face was ugly, I almost died. Schwa. At this moment, the patriarch of Ling Yao sect walked in with a cold expression. Who did this? His sect's elder was injured. Naturally, he would not let it go. The other elders also walked in. Their eyes were filled with anger. It was as if all of them were going to move out and take revenge on the culprit. Patriarch. Elder son said, "It's Jun Changshao." Jun Changshao. An elder said coldly, "Who is this? Why haven't I heard of?" Wait. Jun Changshao. It sounded a little familiar. Patriarch of Ling Yao sect was shocked, Iron Bone Clan sect leader. That's right. Elder son said, "It's him." The elder's expressions changed drastically. Ling Yao sect had naturally heard of the Iron Bone Clan sect leader who had been in the limelight recently. Especially outside Qingyang City, when he defeated 3 martial kings of Zhenyang County with a strong cultivation, it was widely spread. Who would have thought that the one who injured elder's son would be him? Cough. Patriarch of Ling Yao sect's anger dissipated as he said, "Third elder, how is the cultivation of the disciples recently?" Reporting to Patriarch. Third elder said, "Their cultivation is not bad. Many disciples have broken through." The other elders who were furious instantly calmed down and began to talk softly. They completely forgot that elder's son had been injured. The 4 evil sects of Huaying County were destroyed, and the peak martial kings of God-slaying Hall were scared away. The Iron Bone Clan could not be provoked. After completing the series of missions to punish evil, sect leader Jun no longer chose to walk the official path. When there were benefits, he was a chivalrous man. If there were no benefits, he would just pretend that he didn't see them. This guy was really realistic. After obtaining a lot of contribution points, Jun Changshao had the courage to open the intermediate store again. Unfortunately, the last time he refreshed, he only gave a 10,000 swords return to Sect, and there were no other valuable items. He could only spend 100 contribution points to continue refreshing. Among the new products, there was one that attracted Sect leader Jun's attention. That was Chinese recipes. There's such a thing in the store. Only you can't think of it. There's nothing that can't be refreshed. He clicked on the introduction and learned that there were 8 major cuisines recorded in this Chinese recipe. They were Shandong cuisine, Sichuan cuisine, Guangdong cuisine, Jiangsu cuisine, Zhejiang cuisine, Min cuisine, Hunan cuisine, and Anhui cuisine. The price was 1,000 contribution points. I can buy it and let Dudu learn it, and let Chinese cuisine go to the world, go to another world. Jun Changshao thought. Ding! Host has spent 1,000 contribution points and obtained Chinese recipes X1. It has been transported into the space ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 570210000. Dudu. Jun Changshao took out the recipe, and said, "I have a recipe here, you can take it and study it." Recipe? Lu Wanshi pointed to her head, and said with a smile, "Sect leader, I have recipes in here." Ha! This little girl was quite confident. Jun Changshao said, "This recipe of mine is a gathering of heroes." Is that so? Lu Wanshi took the Chinese recipe with some suspicion, then casually flipped through it, and then she couldn't help but be immersed in it. After a long time, the little girl exclaimed, "Sect leader, there are many dishes in this recipe that I have never heard of before." The recipe was passed down from ancient times. It is my iron bone sect's treasure. Jun Changshao said, today, I will hand it over to you. I hope it can be carried forward. Passed down from ancient times, the treasure of the sect. Lu Wancher's eyes widened. She immediately hugged the Chinese recipe book tightly, and said with an incomparably serious face, this disciple will follow sect leader's orders, and will definitely carry forward the recipe. The system said, shameless. Chapter 501. Sect leader Jun was really shameless to say that the Chinese cookbook was a treasure passed down from ancient times. Lu Wancher believed it. On the way to the heavenly mandate imperial city, she studied the cookbook and was stunned by every dish and every process of the 8 major cuisines. Sect leader. Lu Wancher said in surprise. With this cookbook, I have more confidence in participating in the culinary competition. There were many dishes in the Chinese cookbook that she had never seen before. As long as she controlled the heat and seasoning well, she would definitely achieve good results in the competition. Jun Changshao said, we must win first place and show the power of my iron bone. Yes. Lu Wancher nodded heavily. However, Jun Changshao said, before that, you have to practice more. Lu Wancher smiled and said, sect leader, what dish do you want to eat? I can try to make it. Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, let's start with a dish of sweet and sour carp. This was Shandong cuisine, and also his hometown cuisine. Boom! In the river, there was a wave, and different kinds of fish were directly blown out and then fell to the ground. Jun Changshao put away the AMW sniper rifle and said, do, see if there are any carps. System, eating fish and using a gun to blow it up, this operation was really strange. Lu Wancher ran over and picked up a big carp, smiling brightly. Sect leader, there are several. Take them all. Okay. With the fish, Lu Wancher began to set up the stove and then prepared the seasoning. Sect leader, there is no white sugar. This, Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, use honey instead. As he spoke, he released his spiritual senses and successfully locked onto a beehive in the distance. Then, he swaggered over. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The bees flew out and sensed danger approaching. They immediately launched an attack. Unfortunately, facing sect leader Jun who was covered in armor, they could not cause any damage at all. The system completely collapsed. Using a spirit armor to get honey, this was making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm happy to. Jun Changshao said, is it any of your business? Not only did this fellow have to use the spear to fry the fish, he also had to use the spirit armor to block the attacks of the little bees. He even had to use the exquisite fire to control the fire at the bottom of the pot for Lu Wancher. One word, horsefly. Whoosh! The exquisite fire burned under the stove. Lu Wancher put on an apron and followed the recipe, focusing on cooking. A serious woman is the most beautiful. A serious loli was even cuter. A short while later, the golden-colored sweet and sour carp was ready. Since the author was worried that the readers would learn it, the process of Lu Wancher's cooking and every step was encrypted. Want to learn? Go and do your own research. Jun Changshao took a bite and savored it carefully. How is it? Lu Wancher blinked, her eyes filled with anticipation. Jun Changshao praised, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, sweet and sour, fragrant and delicious. Not bad, not bad. In fact, it was different from the sweet crisp carp he had eaten before. The difference was that it lacked the taste of his hometown. It was normal. Even if a person from another world mastered the recipe of sweet and sour carp, he might not be able to make a soulful authentic Shandong dish. I don't know if I will be able to eat the most authentic hometown dish in my lifetime. Jun Changshao was homesick again. Headmaster. Lu Wancher said, during the culinary competition, I will use this dish to compete with them. Done. Jun Changshao smiled and said, the championship is guaranteed. Lu Wancher said, the culinary competition is the same as the sect competition. We have to go through several competitions. It's not enough to rely on one dish. Then choose a few more dishes from the recipe. Okay. Jun Changshao and Lu Wancher continued to move toward the heavenly mandate royal city. Because they took the small roads and did not enter the city for sightseeing, their speed was faster. 10 days later, the two entered the territory of the heavenly mandate royal city. It was worthy of being the face of Yangzhou in the southwest. The official road was very grand, and there was no problem for several carriages to travel side by side. The passers-by on the road were also of high cultivation. TSK, TSK. Jun Changshao said in surprise, Wuzong is everywhere, and there are as many martial arts masters as dogs. The system said, are there more rich people in a small county, or in the city? Of course it's in the city, Jun Changshao said without hesitation. The system said, so, in this kind of royal city, it's normal to see Wuzong everywhere. Jun Changshao said, Yangzhou in the southwest is just ordinary in the Starfall continent. If we go to a stronger state, will Wuzong be everywhere, and there are as many martial kings as dogs? If the host wants to be a dog so much, can I cooperate and say it? The system said. Go to hell. Step, step, step. On the official road behind them, dozens of martial arts cultivators in tight clothes galloped over on horses. These horses were tall and red all over, and there were flames under their feet. They looked very majestic. Red flame soldiers. Someone exclaimed. The passers-by's expression changed, and they hurriedly made way, with fear in their eyes. Headmaster. Lu Wancher said telepathically, these are the Imperial Guards of the Heavenly Mandate Royal City. Let's get out of the way. Oh. Jun Changshao responded. Just as he turned his body sideways, dozens of soldiers riding on horses galloped past him. Just as sect leader Jun turned around, the leader of the group walked past him. Intentionally or unintentionally, he turned his head and met sect leader Jun's eyes for a brief moment. It was a woman. She was wearing red armor, and her black hair danced in the wind. She looked very valiant. The two of them made eye contact for a brief moment and immediately separated. If this was in a TV series, there would be all kinds of slow-motion scenes, and all kinds of replays that lasted for dozens of seconds to show how a man and woman inadvertently made eye contact. Oh my God! The one riding the horse just now was Princess Red Lotus. Isn't Princess Red Lotus cultivating in the Heavenly Mandate Academy? Why would she appear outside the city? The passers-by on the road suddenly started to talk, and their eyes were full of admiration. Headmaster. Lu Wancher said excitedly, the one who just passed by was Princess Red Lotus. Is she very powerful? Jun Changshao asked. Princess Red Lotus is the daughter of the city lord of the Heavenly Mandate Royal City. She has the body of fire spirit and is one of the top geniuses in southwest Yangzhou and even the entire Star Zone continent. Lu Wancher said with admiration. Body of fire spirit? Jun Changshao murmured, no wonder the exquisite fire in my body was a little restless just now. Lu Wancher said, also, Princess Red Lotus is a great beauty. It is said that she is ranked second on the ranking of peerless talents. Jun Changshao was speechless. If it was not the Gathering of Heroes list, then it was the Ranking of Peerless Talents list. How free and boring would they have to be to come up with this? If they were so capable, they could come up with the entire Jade Tree overlooking the Wind Headmaster list. If I can't get first place, I'll kill myself immediately. The system was speechless. However, Jun Changshao rested his chin on his hand and said, that woman is quite beautiful. If she can join my Iron Bone clan, it would be good. Princess Red Lotus was a fair, rich, and beautiful woman with a background, potential, and looks. Any normal man would think that if they could marry her, they would definitely reach the peak of their lives. Headmaster June actually wanted to take her in. It was really hopeless. Beep, beep. June Changshao said, "Your eldest senior sister's potential is not inferior to hers. Why don't I see you admiring her so much?" Huh? Lu Wancher was stunned. She patted her little head and said, "Yes, eldest senior sister is also very powerful. Why didn't I think of it?" June Changxiao's mouth twitched. It seemed that this little girl only thought that outsiders were outstanding and completely ignored the fact that her fellow disciples were actually more outstanding. The heavenly mandate royal city was very big and very majestic. When June Changshao came to the city gate and saw the towering city walls, he opened his mouth. "Headmaster." Lu Wancher whispered, "Everyone is looking at you." "Ah." June Changshao retracted his stunned expression, straightened his body, and said, let's go in." Ah. At this moment, Lu Wancher screamed, "Headmaster, look, it's Princess Red Lotus, it's Princess Red Lotus." June Changshao shook his head secretly and said, "What a little fangirl." Chapter 502. At the city gate, Princess Red Lotus was leading a red horse and talking to the general of the city gate. Lu Wancher looked at her with admiration. She was indeed a fangirl. June Changshao shook his head and observed the woman carefully with his spiritual thoughts. He realized that she was outstanding in both appearance and temperament. Due to the strong spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the falling star continent was filled with beauties. Princess Red Lotus was definitely a rare beauty. Beep. Beep. Retracting his spiritual thoughts, June Changshao said, "Let's enter the city." "Okay." Lu Wancher followed, her eyes still filled with admiration. After Princess Red Lotus talked to the general of the city gate, she looked over. Her eyes were like stars in the dark night. "Sect Master." Lu Wancher sent a voice transmission. "The princess is looking at you." "Looking at me?" June Changshao turned around and met Princess Red Lotus's eyes again. This time, they did not pass by each other. They looked at each other directly, so he smiled like a gentleman. Princess Red Lotus smiled faintly as she led her horse into the city. "Wow!" Lu Wancher exclaimed, "Sect Master, Princess Red Lotus smiled at you." June Changshao shrugged and said, "Isn't it normal to smile at such a handsome guy?" "Eh." Lu Wancher grinned and whispered, "How shameless." The two of them continued into the city. However, they were stopped by the general of the city gate. They had to provide identification before they could enter. This was the procedure to enter the city. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. June Changshao handed over his identification. On it was written that he was a resident of Azure Sun City in Azure Sun County. City Lord Xia had specially arranged for him. The general of the city gate took a look and said in surprise, "June Changshao. Is there a problem?" June Changshao asked. The general said, "Azure Sun County's Iron Bone Sect Master is also called June Changshao, right? Even the general of the city gate has heard of my name." June Changshao puffed out his chest and said proudly, "That's right, June is the leader of Iron Bone Upright Sect. This guy is Iron Bone Sect leader. The sect that defended Green Sun City and annihilated Jinyang County's 300,000-strong army. Not bad." Sect leader June became even more arrogant when he heard the surprised discussions of the passers-by. Everyone had vanity. Not only does our sect leader June have it, it's very strong. When he heard others talking about his great achievements, he immediately became complacent. "Men." At this moment, the general shouted coldly, "Take him down." Shwa. 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 Sect leader June, who was feeling smug, was immediately surrounded by dozens of soldiers. All kinds of weapons were placed on his neck. Fuck. What was going on? Brat. The general said coldly, you are the 18th person who has pretended to be the leader of the Iron Bone sect in the past month. Impersonation. Jun Changshao broke down and said, General, I am really the leader of the Iron Bone sect. Every person who pretends to be the leader of the Iron Bone sect. The general shouted, take them down and lock them in the dungeon. Wait. Jun Changshao said, I have the sect seal. It can prove my identity. The general laughed coldly and said, you can go and have a good discussion with the group of sect leaders who are locked up. And so, our sect leader Jun was taken away by the neck by a group of soldiers. This made Lu Wancher very anxious. She shouted from behind, sect leader. Sect leader. This girl must be an accomplice. Take her away too. Creak. The door of the dungeon closed. Sect leader Jun and Lu Wancher stood in a cell surrounded by iron walls on 3 sides. Ahahaha. The system's gloating laughter could be heard. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. In the past, when he said that he was the leader of the Iron Bone sect, he was looked down upon. Now that he said that he was the leader of the Iron Bone sect, he was thought to be a fake. The system said, host can break out of prison. Break out your sister. Jun Changshao clearly remembered that the first sect leader was beheaded because he broke out of prison. Of course, with his strength, breaking out of prison was easy. However, he was the leader of the Iron Bone sect. Once he broke out of prison, he would not be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Friend. At this moment, a cellmate walked over and smiled, how did you get in? Is there even a need to ask? Another cellmate said, to be able to enter this cell, you must be pretending to be Jun Changshao. Pretending my ass. The cellmate squatting at the side said, I am the leader of the Iron Bone sect. In the small cell, there were 17 people. This made sect leader Jun suddenly remember that the general had said that he was the 18th imposter. His mouth twitched, you are all Jun Changshao. Nonsense. A cellmate said, if you are not Jun Changshao, how can you be locked in here? At that moment, sect leader Jun almost took out his green dragon crescent blade and cut these people who had impersonated him and caused him to be imprisoned into pieces. Calm down, calm down. Jun Changshao suppressed his urge to kill and carefully examined these imposters. As a result, he almost vomited blood. They were all a bunch of repulsive people. They actually dared to pretend to be the wise and mighty me. The most unbearable thing was that there was actually a bald old man in his 60s or 70s among them. Oh please. Imposters should at least be more professional. Little girl. Jun Changshao walked over and said with a smile, the leader of the Iron Bone sect is a man. Why did a girl like you appear? Lu Wancher said, I am a disciple of the Iron Bone sect. Everyone was stunned. Then, they looked at Jun Changshao and gave him a thumbs up, saying, you even brought a disciple. You impersonated a friend well. Impersonation my ass. Impersonation my ass. I am really Jun Changshao. I am really the leader of the Iron Bone sect. Sigh. A cellmate shook his head and said, we were one step too late. The first imposter succeeded. Otherwise, why would we be locked in here? Damn. The person next to him said angrily, they acted so quickly. These words made Jun Changshao realize that since all 18 of them, including himself, were imposters, there must be a real one who had already entered the heavenly mandate imperial city. Damn it. I just made a name for myself in the other world, and someone impersonated me and put me in jail. I will definitely torture them to death once I catch them. The system said, the host should think about how to get out. Creak. Suddenly, the door of the room was opened. A fat prison guard stood at the door and said calmly, Sect leader Jun, follow me. Jun Changshao and a group of imposters were brought to the interrogation room. The observant general of the city stood proudly. Sitting in front of the interrogation table was Princess Red Lotus, who had just entered the imperial city. She put her hands on the table and clasped her fingers. She smiled and said, "Are you all Jun Changshao, the leader of the Iron Bone sect?" Her voice was clear and disturbing. "That's right." Before Jun Changshao could speak, the impostors spoke. "You impostors, where did you get the courage to say that you are the leader of the Iron Bone sect?" Princess Red Lotus said, "As far as I know, the leader of the Iron Bone sect is not more than 20 years old. Does your age match?" June is only 17 or 18 years old. "It's just that he is growing a little fast," the bald old man said. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. "Old man, you are not growing fast. You are growing faster than the speed of sound." Princess Red Lotus said, "Sect leader Jun is a fire elemental armament. Do you have it?" Huh. This woman knew him well. It seemed that he could only show the exquisite fire to prove his identity. Whoosh whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the impostor standing at the side raised his hand. A cluster of scorching flames erupted. He said proudly, "Can this prove my identity?" Jun Changshao opened his mouth. Damn, this guy was also a fire elemental armament. Chapter 503. Fire elemental martial cultivators were not rare in the Falling Star continent, so it was normal for an impostor to show it off. Furthermore, it was easier to impersonate someone professionally. Only a fool would think that the bald old man was the sect master of Iron Bone. "Princess." The general whispered, "This person is a fire elemental martial cultivator and is about the same age. It might be real." Princess Red Lotus said, "Would sect master Jun of the Sword and Martial Kings have such a low flame?" The general fell silent. Jun Changshao had been releasing his spiritual senses the entire time. When he heard their conversation, he thought to himself, "She actually knows that I'm the Sword and Martial Kings." The system said, "It's normal for the host to have a breakthrough in Azure Sun City." That's true. Jun Changshao felt relieved. Names could be impersonated, flames could be impersonated. However, who in this world could impersonate his cultivation of the Sword and Martial Kings? If he wanted to prove himself, it wouldn't take too long. Princess Red Lotus said, "Iron Bone has many special martial techniques. Since you are Sect Master Jun, you should be able to use them, right?" Everyone fell silent. Actually, before they entered the interrogation room, some of the impostors were already feeling guilty. Jun Changshao said, "Princess, what martial technique would you like to see?" Princess Red Lotus said, "On Spirit Spring Mountain, the Iron Bone sect's disciple, Li Qingyang, once used a special spiritual energy-type martial technique to defeat an inner sect disciple of the Sacred Spring sect. Would it be possible for you to use it?" Jun Changshao said, "You remember clearly where and who used it. Princess, you really know Iron Bone like the back of your hand." Princess Red Lotus flicked her hair and said with a smile, "A nameless sect suddenly rose to prominence in Azure Sun County. Of course, I have to understand it." The two of them looked at each other. After a while, Jun Changshao retracted his gaze and said, "This place is small. It's not suitable to use martial techniques." Princess Red Lotus said, "General Song, take these 17 people away and continue to lock them up." Yes. The general escorted the 17 impostors away. "Sect Master Jun," Princess Red Lotus said with a smile, "my subordinate is only doing his job. If he has offended you, please forgive him." "You think I'm real?" Jun Changshao asked. Princess Red Lotus said, "Actually, from the moment Sect Master Jun came in, I knew that you were real. Not just anyone can impersonate the aura of two kings. Since that was the case, why did he need to interrogate him? Could it be that he had nothing better to do? Or was he testing him?" Instantly, Jun Changshao became vigilant and inwardly said, "I'm afraid that this woman isn't simple." Lu Wanshi looked at Princess Red Lotus in excitement. She nearly took out a notebook to ask for her autograph. Jun Changshao did not expect that the way he entered the heavenly mandate imperial city was not through the main gate, but directly from the prison, accompanied by the princess of the city. Sect Master Jun, Princess Red Lotus said, I heard that you are a martial arts master. You have also guided many sects on Mount Hua. This woman knew him like the back of her hand. The more she knew, the more cautious Jun Changshao became. He said, it's just a coincidence. Princess Red Lotus stopped and smiled. I'm going back to the academy. If Sect Master Jun has time, you can come to the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Many of our juniors have admired you for a long time. Is that so? Jun Changshao was immediately tempted. Of course, he was not going for a tour. He was thinking, why not recruit disciples in the academy? The Heavenly Mandate Academy was not a powerful organization. The students who cultivated there were also not sections. Recruiting disciples was not considered poaching. Princess Jun Changshao said, are you interested in joining the Iron Bone Academy? How direct and straightforward. Lu Wancher, who was standing to the side, opened her mouth. If her idol joined the Iron Bone Academy and became her fellow disciple, she would be very excited just thinking about it. Of course. Just thinking about it. The little girl also knew that Princess Red Lotus was of noble status. How could she join a sect? Sect Master Jun, are you recruiting me? Princess Red Lotus smiled. Jun Changshao said, the Iron Bone Academy needs a proud woman like you to create a dream together. Princess Red Lotus said, before Sect Master Jun, there were already many sects that wanted to recruit me. There was no lack of first and second-rate sects among them. Although the first and second-rate sects are strong, their potential is limited. Jun Chang said with a smile, for a heroine like the princess, only by joining my Iron Bone faction can she blossom with dazzling brilliance. The system was speechless. When it came to recruiting disciples, he was really good at bullshitting. He had to bullshit. How could he recruit a genius with extraordinary potential just by relying on his strength? Princess Red Lotus said, I'll think about it. She did not refuse, nor did she agree. Jun Changshao said, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Princess, you must seriously consider it. Princess Red Lotus smiled and said, Sect Master Jun, I'll take my leave first. With that, she turned and left. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin as he looked at that valiant figure from behind. He said, if we take in the Princess of Royal City as our disciple, then even if Shenyang County has 10 times the courage, they won't dare to act rashly. No wonder he was so eager to recruit her. He had taken a fancy to her status. Sect Master Lu Wancher said, will Princess Red Lotus join the sect? Yes. Jun Changshao said firmly. Not only Princess Red Lotus, but he also wanted to recruit students from the Heavenly Mandate Academy. How could he return empty-handed from this trip to the Imperial City? The Heavenly Mandate Imperial City was really big. Even the Western District was far from what Qingyang City could compare to. Jun Changshao admired the row upon row of buildings while looking for an inn with Lu Wancher. About an hour later, they chose an inn comparable to a 5-star hotel. The room was comparable to a presidential suite. Rich and willful. Wow! Entering the room, Lu Wancher said in surprise, this house is so big. Don't be amazed. Jun Changshao reminded her, the culinary competition will begin in 5 days. Quickly study the recipes. Yes, yes. The little girl sat on a soft chair and took out a Chinese recipe to read. Jun Changshao stood in front of the window by the street and looked at the endless stream of people below. He murmured, there must be many hidden talents in the Imperial City. In the Eastern District of the Heavenly Mandate Imperial City, the famous Heavenly Mandate Academy was located here. On the huge field, countless geniuses were cultivating. On top of a tall building, an old man in a long robe stood. He had a head full of white hair and looked very sage-like. Dean. A middle-aged man walked over and said, "The leader of the Iron Bone clan has come to the imperial city." "I know," the old man replied. Although his voice was old, it had a powerful aura. "His cultivation must be extraordinary." The middle-aged man said, "In a short time, this Iron Bone clan has developed from a second-rate sect to a sixth-rate sect. This Iron Bone clan really has potential." The old man said, "It is hard to say whether the Iron Bone clan has potential, but Jun Changshao can become the king of sword and martial arts. He will have great achievements in the future." "That is true," the middle-aged man agreed. Moreover, the old man said, "This boy has a very deep understanding of martial arts. If we can persuade him to give up the sect and become a teacher of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, he will have students all over the world in the future. This boy is arrogant and has caused a lot of trouble. I am afraid he is not suitable to be a teacher," the middle-aged man said. The old man was silent for a while and ordered, "In the name of the academy, invite him here." "Yes." The middle-aged man left. It was not only the Heavenly Mandate Academy that was thinking about Master Jun. There was also the Yangzhou Certification Academy in the southwest. At this moment, the head of the academy, Yi Tianjian, had also received the news that Jun Changshao had entered the imperial city. He was discussing this matter with several elders. He had just entered the largest city in the southwest of Yangzhou, and two non-forces were very concerned about Jun Changshao. This was enough to make others envious and jealous. Chapter 504. Headmaster Jun, in the guest room, the middle-aged man cupped his hands and said, "Are you free to go to the Heavenly Mandate Academy?" Jun Changshao was a little confused. He had just checked in, and the people of the Heavenly Mandate Academy came to him. What was going on? "Tomorrow," Jun Changshao said. After traveling for so many days, he was also a little tired and wanted to have a good night's rest. The middle-aged man said, "In that case, I will take my leave." After leaving the room, he shook his head and said, "Many people feel honored to be invited by the academy, but he insisted on waiting until tomorrow." As soon as the people of the Heavenly Mandate Academy left, Elder Zhou of the certification headquarters came. "Headmaster Jun," he cupped his hands and smiled. "Are you free to go to the certification headquarters?" The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched slightly. Were these people's eyes always on him? As soon as he stepped into the imperial city, they were all here. "Elder Zhou," Jun Changshao said, "Tomorrow." "That's good too." Elder Zhou did not want to disturb him and left. Damn! Isn't that Elder Zhou? Why did he come out of that high-end guest room? Is there a big shot living in there? First, the Heavenly Mandate Academy, and then the certification headquarters came to visit the same guest room. This made the martial arts cultivators in the inn talk about it. "Shopkeeper Tian." A warrior walked to the counter and said, "Who lives on the second floor?" The shopkeeper said, "No comment." The owner of the inn would naturally keep the identity of the guests a secret. The more this was so, the more curious the warriors were. Who lived in the guest room? The next day, Jun Changshao walked out in high spirits. However, as soon as he opened the door and stood in the corridor, countless eyes fell on him. He looks very unfamiliar. He seems to be a young junior. How could he alarm the Heavenly Mandate Academy and the certification headquarters? Everyone whispered, and their eyes were filled with disappointment. Jun Changshao ignored them and knocked on Lu Wancher's room. He said, "Girl, let's go out for dinner." "Okay." After Lu Wancher washed up, she followed the headmaster down to the second floor. The two of them casually ate something in the cafeteria on the first floor and then left the inn. Lu Wancher learned a few dishes yesterday, but she didn't have the ingredients, so she had to go to the grocery store to buy them. Jun Changshao also wanted to take a look at the martial arts market in the Heavenly Mandate Imperial City, so he followed along. The martial arts market in Monarch City was huge. Medicine stores, elixir stores, weapon stores, crystal core stores, and other stores related to martial arts were numerous. On the streets, there were also many armament cultivators who were purchasing all kinds of resources. After walking for a while, Jun Changshao saw many high-ranked wuzong. There were even martial kings among them. As expected of the capital, experts were as common as clouds. Lu Wanshi entered a sundry goods store while Jun Changshao strolled around casually. The medicinal herbs and seeds here should be pretty good. With this in mind, he entered a medicinal herb shop. Indeed. The medicinal herb shops in the capital city were much better than the AI clan in terms of medicinal herb variety and quality. Jun Changshao needed a large amount of materials to refine middle-grade qi gathering pills, so no matter if it was herbs or seeds, as long as they were available, he would take them all. In the end, he had spent nearly 10 million. So expensive. Jun Changshao took out banknotes to pay, and suddenly the customers who were choosing medicinal herbs were stunned. Spending so much money to buy some ordinary medicinal herbs and seeds, is there something wrong with his brain? Maybe it's a rich second generation from another city who came to show off his wealth. While the crowd was discussing, Jun Changshao had already left the medicinal herb shop. You all think that there's something wrong with my brain or that I'm showing off my wealth, but you don't know that it's absolutely difficult to refine qi gathering pills. Right. Jun Changshao murmured, if I open a beast material store in Monarch City, there should be more profits, right? The system said, buying feed in Monarch City, host, don't you find it embarrassing? As long as there's money to be made, it's not embarrassing even if I sell feces. Jun Changshao said. The system said. Someone is fighting in the sundry goods store. Suddenly, a armament cultivator shouted at the top of his voice. Daring to fight in the market, isn't this courting death? Let's go. Let's go take a look. Sect leader Jun frowned because Dudu was also in the sundry goods store. Sundry goods store. At this moment, many materials were scattered on the ground, and the shopkeeper was so scared that he hid under the counter. A young man in embroidered clothes fell on the ground while holding his stomach. His face was slightly ferocious, and it seemed that he was injured. Who hit him? Lu Wanshi. At this moment, she clenched her fists, and her eyes were filled with anger. Lu Wanshi usually had a cheerful look, and she was rarely so angry. Bastard! A few youths hurriedly helped him up, and one of them said angrily, you actually dared to attack and injure sixth cousin brother. Lu Wanshi gritted her teeth and said, if you call me bastard again, do you believe that I won't beat you up too? The little loli's angry look was quite scary. Humph. That person said coldly, no wonder you dared to come back, so you've been cultivating outside. But no matter how high your cultivation is, you're still a bastard. This guy's words were very unpleasant. Lu Wanshi really couldn't take it anymore, and she clenched her fists and walked over. Although the youth was afraid, he forced himself to be calm and said, if you dare to attack in Monarch City again, even fourth uncle can't save you. Pa! Suddenly, a hand landed on his shoulder. The youth was stunned, and he turned around to look. Unknowingly, a young man of similar age to him was standing behind him. Sect Master. Lu Wanshi couldn't stop her tears from flowing. Jun Changshao saw it, and his heart ached. He said in a deep voice, they are from the Ouyang clan. That's right. The youth raised his eyebrows and said. Jun Changshao directly pressed him to the ground, and he raised his leg and started to stomp on his back. Bang! 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 The martial artists gathered outside the miscellaneous goods store opened their eyes wide. In just a moment, the Ouyang clan direct descendant who called Lu Wanshi a bastard was stomped until he was foaming at the mouth, and he fainted. The other two direct descendants were so scared that their faces turned pale. They didn't care about their injured comrade, and they hurriedly ran away. Swoosh! Swoosh! Sect Master Jun reached out and grabbed the two of them. He didn't care if they bullied Lu Wancher or not, he directly pressed them to the ground and started to trample on them again. Stop! At this moment, a shout came from outside the miscellaneous goods store. It's the patrol envoy. Fighting in Monarch City is definitely a serious crime. He's beating up a direct descendant of the Ouyang clan. The crowd hurriedly made way for a middle-aged man in armor and more than 20 soldiers to surround the miscellaneous goods store. Bang! Bang! Jun Changshao was still kicking him, one kick at a time. Seeing this, the patrol envoy frowned. He then entered the miscellaneous goods store and shouted, "Fighting in the city without permission is against the law. Stop right now, or else," bang. Before he could finish, he was sent flying out of the store. The passers-by were all stunned. That guy even dared to beat up the patrol envoy. Is he tired of living? Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, two martial artists landed in front of the miscellaneous goods store from afar. Their auras were strong, and they were both martial kings. The white-haired old man said in a deep voice, "You ignorant brat, how dare you hurt a direct descendant of the Ouyang clan?" Jun Changshao stopped his violence and dragged out the two men who had been beaten to the point of looking like dead dogs. He said indifferently, "This king will not only beat up your family's direct descendants, but also beat up you two old men." Arrogant! The two martial kings shouted coldly. Patrol envoy. The white-haired old man said, "This kid hurt a direct descendant of the Ouyang clan. Can I retaliate?" The patrol envoy struggled to stand up and said while holding his chest, "Yes." Kid. The white-haired old man's martial king aura burst out and said coldly, "I will discipline you on behalf of your parents." Chapter 505. Sect leader Jun directly suppressed a martial king of the Ouyang family with his domineering sword momentum and walked in front of him. Slap! A slap was delivered, and a crisp sound was heard. Everyone's eyes widened. Why didn't the martial king of the Ouyang family dodge? Why was he slapped in the face by a young man? The sword momentum suppressed him like Wu Huang's chi domain. The white-haired old man's left cheek was swollen, but his heart was filled with shock. Slap! Sect leader Jun slapped him again and said, "The direct descendant humiliated my disciple. This is the Ouyang family's failure to discipline him." Everyone's mouth twitched. A martial king being slapped in the face in front of so many people was simply unimaginable. This was not a slap in the face. This was trampling on the dignity of the Ouyang family. Whoosh whoosh. Just then, another martial king strode over, his aura whistling through the air. Boom! Jun Changshao turned around and used the landslide fist, directly meeting the Ouyang family's strong cultivator head-on. Whoosh whoosh. The power exploded, and a gust of wind rose. The martial cultivators close to the military salute were so shocked that they retreated. Thump thump thump. The martial king of the Ouyang family also staggered back. In the end, he fell to the ground on his butt, his eyes full of disbelief. This man's strength was strong, and he was definitely a high-grade martial king. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, two more figures flew over, and the aura they emitted was also that of a martial king. Gold and silver guardians. The warriors exclaimed. The two warriors who landed outside the grocery store were about 40 or 50 years old. Their eyes shone with a sharp light, as if they were generals who had experienced hundreds of battles. They were the two guardians of the Heavenly Mandate Royal City, and they were responsible for the security of the city. What's going on? Guardian Jean asked in a deep voice. The patrol envoy pointed at Jun Changshao and said, "Lord Guardian, this man openly beat up a direct descendant of the Ouyang family in the city, and he even injured me." Oh. Guardian Jean said in surprise, "That's a bit rare. It wasn't that there were no troublemakers in the royal city. But to beat up a direct descendant of the Ouyang family and a patrol envoy, it was a mess." boy. Enforcer Silver laughed strangely and said, you sure have guts. Protector Jean said, there are clear rules in the royal city that no one is allowed to attack without permission. Not only did you hit someone, but you also injured the patrol envoy. That's an additional crime. I don't care about the rules. Jun Changshao once again slapped the Ouyang clan's martial king's face and coldly said, humiliating my sect's disciple, even the heavenly emperor will have to pay the price. Facing so many martial kings, how arrogant. Sect leader Jun was amazing. Protector Jin's face gradually darkened. Tsk tisk. Protector Silver said, this old man hasn't seen such an arrogant little fellow in a long time. Protectors. Another Ouyang clan martial king clenched his teeth and said, this kid is acting recklessly in the city. Please seek justice for our Ouyang clan. He knew that this young man was powerful and that he was no match for him. He could only rely on the two protectors. After all, one of them was at the 9th rank and the other was at the 8th rank. Brat. Protector Een grinned and said, let this old man spar with you. Whoosh. As he spoke, the aura of an 8th rank martial king burst out, forming a powerful aura that pressed over. Jun Changshao sneered. His sword aura split and instantly rushed forward, clashing with his opponent's aura. Boom thump. Thump. Protector Silver took a few steps back and said in surprise, what a powerful sword will. You are, a sword king. What? Everyone's eyes widened. Martial kings could be seen in the royal city, but sword kings were very rare. At that moment, the passers-by finally understood why this kid dared to arrogantly make a move in the royal city and even dared to hit a patrol envoy. A sword cultivator was already very amazing. The king of swordsmanship would only have an even higher status. Back then, a sword king had once come to the heavenly mandate royal city. The city lord had personally received him and treated him as a distinguished guest. Protector Jean said cautiously, may I know your name? The king of swordsmanship was definitely not an ordinary person. Jun Changshao from the Iron Bone clan. Not only did Jun Changshao report his name, but he also reported his sect. Because the sword momentum was still being released, even the words he spoke revealed an extremely sharp aura. The Iron Bone clan. Jun Changshao. Protector Jin's expression changed again and again. He said, so you are the clan leader of the Iron Bone clan. The clan leader of the Iron Bone clan? The surrounding warriors suddenly remembered the clan that had been widely spread in the Jianghu recently, and their faces were all filled with surprise. No. Someone was puzzled and said, I have seen the clan leader of the Iron Bone clan. He shouldn't look like this. Yes, I saw him in the southern district yesterday. Could it be that he changed his appearance? Many warriors whispered to each other. Jun Changshao frowned and said to himself, could it be that he is an impostor who entered the city first? Very good, very good. Since he was in the city, he had to torture him to death. The system said, at this time, the host should consider how to escape. Simple. Jun Changshao said, make a big deal out of it. Make a big deal out of it. Bang! Jun Changshao punched the abdomen of the Ouyang clan's martial king who was restrained by the sword and said coldly, today, I will take care of the Ouyang clan's old man and seek justice for my disciple. Whoever dares to stop me will end up like him. Protector Jin's face was ashen and he said, clan leader Jun, don't go too far. He was not biased towards the Ouyang clan, but it was his duty to protect the law and order of the city. Bang! Jun Changshao punched the chest of the Ouyang clan's martial king again, making him look ferocious. He said, am I going too far? Everyone's mouth twitched. Hitting the Ouyang clan's martial king in front of two protectors, was he not going too far? Protector Jean said in a deep voice, clans have their own rules, and countries have their own rules. Even if clan leader Jun is the king of the sword, he must abide by them. Ta! He took a step forward and a complicated fist shadow was immediately displayed. He could not bear it anymore. He had to take down this arrogant junior and tell everyone that the laws of the royal city were not to be violated. Whoosh whoosh. A ninth-grade martial king displayed a powerful fist technique, forming a terrifying aura. The passers-by closest to him were so shocked that they retreated one after another. Your royal city has rules, and so does my iron bone. Jun Changshao took a big step forward and displayed the landslide and earth-shattering fist. In an instant, all the fist shadows were destroyed. He said proudly, "Those who offend my iron bone will have to pay the price." Whoosh whoosh. Protector Jin attacked again. Whoosh whoosh. Clan leader Jun did not show any weakness. He poured violent power into his fists and punched back. For a moment, the spiritual energy in the marketplace exploded with great momentum. Heavenly Mandate Academy. The old man standing on the building felt the fluctuation of spiritual energy and frowned. He said, "Why is this kid fighting with Protector Jin?" The middle-aged man who went to invite Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "Dean, I have said before that this kid is a troublemaker. It is not a wise move to let him teach at the Heavenly Mandate Academy." The old man said, "This trouble is not small. You go and mediate." "All right." The middle-aged man turned and left. Headquarters of the Certification Academy. The corner of Yi Tianjian's mouth twitched. He just came to the royal city and he is already fighting with Protector Jin. What is going on? Elder Zhou was speechless. It might alarm the city lord. Elder Zhou. Yi Tianjian said, "Go and mediate the fight." Yes. Jun Changshao had just gotten into trouble, and the Heavenly Mandate Academy and the Certification Academy had sent people to clean up his mess. Chapter 506. Boom. Boom. In the market, powerful explosions sounded frequently. Boundless spiritual energy wreaked havoc, shaking the surrounding buildings. The buildings in the royal city were indeed powerful. To be able to withstand the attack of a martial king, he was still able to hold his ground. If it were Qingyang City, a large part of it would have collapsed long ago. In front of the grocery store, Jun Changshao and Protector Jin were fighting fiercely, and it was difficult to tell who had the upper hand. The two of them didn't want to affect the surrounding buildings, so they tacitly chose to fight hand-to-hand. The cultivators who were hiding far away were extremely excited. It was an honor to be able to witness the battle between martial kings and sword kings in the strict royal city. Ta! 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 A large number of royal city soldiers rushed over and surrounded the martial arts market. At the same time, the other martial king-level protectors of the public order hall also rushed over at their fastest speed and locked onto Jun Changshao. Things were getting out of hand. Judging from the current situation, Sect leader Jun was in a very bad situation. This was really a good way to die. Or perhaps, a protagonist who didn't court death wasn't a good author. Boom. At this moment, the two of them punched each other again. Neither of them had the upper hand and they both retreated a few steps. Protector Jin's expression was extremely ugly. Although this brat was a sword king, he was still a low-grade martial king. He, a 9th-grade martial king, was actually unable to do anything to him. However, he didn't know that sect leader Jun hadn't used his full strength from the beginning. Otherwise, if the martial king and sword king were to use their full cultivation, they would definitely be defeated. Ha! Looking at the surrounding soldiers and the 4 martial kings who appeared, Jun Changshao said indifferently, "What a big lineup." The martial cultivators admired him. The 6 martial kings of the royal city public order hall were all out, yet he could still remain so calm. As expected of a man who dared to fight against a 6th-grade Jinyang County. However, this wasn't Jinyang County, but the royal city. If a sect leader dared to fight against the public order hall, it was equivalent to fighting against the city lord. There was no denying it. The Iron Bone sect leader had been very famous recently. However, if he dared to cause trouble in the royal city, he would definitely be tired of living. The Ouyang family martial king sneered and thought, "Brat, no one in the world can save you." Sect leader Jun, Protector Jean said in a deep voice, "Surrender." After exchanging blows, he had already realized that this kid's strength was extremely strong, and it was impossible for him to take him down alone. Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Only defeat, never admit defeat." His attitude was also very unyielding. "Take me down. Come at me with your strength." Protector Jin's gaze was cold as he said, "Protector Yin, let's join forces and quickly capture this child." "All right." Protector Silver strode forward. Wu Huang's aura completely erupted. Wang! A cold sword appeared in the void. Jun Changshao gripped the hilt of his sword and suddenly pulled it out. His gaze was cold as he said, "Since you want to fight me with numbers, then don't let this seat be merciless." Whoosh whoosh, in an instant, scorching flames erupted from the sword. What a powerful flame! Guardian Jin and Guardian Yin's expressions changed slightly. They knew that the Iron Bone sect leader was a fire martial cultivator, but they didn't expect his comprehension to be so pure. They're using their weapons. I'm afraid there will be bloodshed today. The Iron Bone sect leader is really reckless. Everyone discussed in low voices. Fighting in the city was already a serious crime. If he were to use his weapon, it would definitely be an additional crime. Jun Changshao. Protector Jean said in a deep voice, "You're walking step by step into the abyss." If it was just a fight, there was still room for negotiation. However, once weapons were used in a fight, it was absolutely unforgivable. Jun Changshao's eyes were filled with fighting spirit as he said, "Come on." Protector Yin. Protector Jin's gaze was cold as he said, "Since this kid is so contemptuous of the monarch city's laws, we'll kill him here today." "All right." Protector Yin agreed. Such an arrogant junior made the two of them want to kill him. Whoosh whoosh. The aura of a martial king erupted wildly, and killing intent filled the sky above the martial arts market. Just as Protector Jin and Protector Yin were about to attack, a shout came from afar. "Stop!" Everyone looked over and saw Princess Red Lotus flying over. "Greetings, Princess." Protector Jin and the rest, as well as many soldiers, bowed. Princess Red Lotus looked at Jun Changshao and said, "Sect leader Jun, please put away your sword first. We can talk things over." Clang! She sheathed her sword. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, "I'll give the princess some face." Everyone was a little dizzy. Did the noble princess care about your face that much? Princess. Protector Jin said, "This kid attacked in the monarch city and violated the laws. His crime is unforgivable, I understand." Princess Red Lotus interrupted. She looked at Jun Changshao and shook her head. "Sect leader Jun, this is the heavenly mandate monarch city, not the Iron Bone sect. It's too reckless of you to attack so recklessly." "If I had been reckless, Protector Jin would have become a soul under my sword," Jun Changshao said. He was not pretending. He really had the strength. With sect leader Jun's current cultivation, even a peak martial king might not be a threat. Princess Red Lotus said, "Sect leader Jun's strength is admirable. However, you should not attack in the monarch city. Please give up resisting and go to the dungeon." Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. He just came out and went back in. The frequency of him being in the dungeon was too frequent. The system mocked, "With the trouble you've caused today, you should be content if you're just locked up in the dungeon." Princess. Protector Jin said angrily, "This kid has no respect for the law. He can't escape death. He can't escape death." The soldiers of the Public Security Department shouted in unison. Judging from the situation, if sect leader June did not give a perfect explanation today, it would be difficult for him to escape unscathed. Protectors. Princess Red Lotus said, "Leave this matter to me." This, Protector Jean and Protector Een looked at each other. The two of them had always been in charge of public security matters. Why was the princess interfering today? Princess. Protector Een said awkwardly, "This is a serious matter. We have to ask the city lord." Why? Princess Red Lotus frowned and said unhappily, "I don't even have that right." Yes, you do. The two protectors hurriedly said. The princess was the apple of the city lord's eye. They did not dare to offend her. Princess Red Lotus said, "Sect leader June knows the location of the dungeon. Please go there yourself." June Changshao spread his hands and turned to leave. He had beaten up the Ouyang family and helped his disciple vent her anger. Since the princess had given him a way out, he had to do it. Princess. At that moment, the martial king of the Ouyang family said, "This kid hurt my Ouyang family. Please give us justice." Justice? June Changshao turned back and said coldly, "You said that my iron bone disciple is a bastard. I will go to your Ouyang family to seek justice." The martial king of the Ouyang family sneered. "Kid. How can you seek justice in your current situation?" Sect leader June, Princess Red Lotus said, "Let's go." Wait. At this moment, Elder Zhou from the certification center flew over anxiously and said, "Princess, there must be some misunderstanding. It's Elder Zhou of the certification academy. Why is he here?" While everyone was discussing, a middle-aged man also rushed over and said, "Red Lotus, sect leader June is an important guest of the academy. You must not neglect him." Gah! The entire place was silent. First, the people of the Certification Academy said it was a misunderstanding. Then, the people of the Heavenly Mandate Academy said it was an important guest. What was going on? Chapter 507. The appearance of the Certification Center and the Heavenly Mandate Academy one after another stunned the martial cultivators who were watching the show. After a while, the smart martial cultivators immediately realized that they were here to help the Iron Bone sect leader out of his predicament. How could a sect leader alert two large organizations at the same time? The Certification Center was responsible for the certification of sects and had a very high prestige. The Heavenly Mandate Academy had nurtured many strong martial cultivators, so its status in southwest Yangzhou was needless to say. If these two organizations really wanted to help June Changshao out of his predicament, even the city lord would have to consider it carefully. Honored guest? Princess Red Lotus was surprised. Sect leader June stood with his hands behind his back, his face full of pride. He had a mental breakdown. If you were 2 steps slower, I would have to enter the palace a second time. He had expected that the Certification Center and the Heavenly Mandate Academy would come to help him. After all, they had warmly invited him yesterday. Based on this alone, sect leader June dared to bully the direct descendant of the Ouyang family and King Wu. Then, he deliberately made a big deal out of it to attract the attention of the two organizations and let them know that he was in trouble now. The system said, "Host, aren't you worried that they didn't get the news?" "They won't." June Changshao said, "They knew as soon as I entered the city. They must be paying attention to my every move." The system was silent. This guy was thinking too much. If he dared to court death without thinking too much, he would definitely end up dead. Everything was under June Changshao's control, but he didn't expect that Princess Red Lotus would come first. Could it be that she is tempted and has plans to join the Iron Bone sect, so she came to give herself a way out? Sect leader June secretly guessed. Vice Dean. Princess Red Lotus said, "Sect leader June beat up the direct descendant of the Ouyang family. They need an explanation." "Is that so?" The Vice Dean looked at King Wu. Elder Zhou also looked over. When the two of them looked at each other, King Wu was on the verge of collapse. The power of these two organizations was beyond imagination. They were existences that his family absolutely could not afford to offend. Brother Ouyang. Elder Zhou said, "It's not a big deal. Why are you so calculative? How is it not a big deal that his direct descendant and elder were beaten up?" King Wu's expression was extremely ugly. Although he was very unhappy and aggrieved, he didn't dare to express it. How about this? The vice principal of the academy tried to mediate the situation. Just let sect leader Jun pay for the medical expenses. Let's turn big problems into small ones and small ones into nothing. The corners of many martial artists' mouths twitched. He could even get the certification headquarters and the Heavenly Mandate Academy to come out and help. The warriors were still discussing what had just happened. They also had a new understanding of the Iron Bone sect leader. As for the person involved, Jun Changshao, he followed the deputy dean to the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Lu Wancher also followed, but her brows were still slightly furrowed. Sect leader. After a while, she transmitted her voice, "I'm sorry." "Why are you sorry?" Jun Changshao didn't understand. Lu Wancher blamed herself and said, "I shouldn't have acted impulsively. I almost got you into jail again." "Silly girl." Jun Changshao said, "I was bullied. As the sect leader, if I can't uphold justice, then what qualifications do I have to be the sect leader?" Sect leader, Lu Wancher was deeply moved, and her tears flowed down unconsciously. Back then, she was saved by the sect leader in Qingyang City. Joining the Iron Bone sect was just to find a place to stay. Now it seemed that this was the best choice in her life. "You won't look good if you keep crying," Jun Changshao said. Lu Wancher wiped away her tears and said firmly, "I am willing to cook for the sect leader for the rest of my life." "Of course." Jun Changshao said, "You've spoiled their food. If it were another chef, your senior brothers and sisters would definitely go on a hunger strike." Ha! The little girl was amused. The previous sadness and self-blame also faded a lot. "Mother." Lu Wancher secretly said in her heart, "Dudu is very happy to have met such a sect leader." Princess Red Lotus, who was traveling with them, had been paying attention to Jun Changshao. Did he know that someone would come to help him, so he dared to act so recklessly in Royal City? This man. Princess Red Lotus secretly said, "He's not simple." "Princess." Jun Changshao slowed down and walked side by side with her. He whispered, "Have you thought it through?" Princess Red Lotus said, "Not yet." Jun Changshao said, "Only I can nurture a genius like you. Thinking about it a little longer is a waste of your life." "Is that so?" Princess Red Lotus smiled. Her smile was very charming. Jun Changshao knew that she doubted his words, so he shook his head and said, "When you become an Iron Bone disciple, you will understand if I'm exaggerating." Every time he refined an elixir or a weapon, his understanding of flames would increase. In the past year or so, sect leader Jun had refined a lot of pills and weapons. Naturally, his understanding of flames had also improved greatly. Refining martial arts resources with one key could also increase one's proficiency in the fire element. It was confirmed that she had cheated. Hoo! Scorching flames erupted, and the temperature was still rising rapidly. Jun Changshao made a chopping motion with his right hand and shouted, "Scarlet Sky Raging Flame Cut." Huff! The flames turned into blade aura and slashed down fiercely with explosive power. The waves of fire and the air clashed violently, and the entire space seemed to be distorted. The last time he used the Scarlet Sky Raging Flame Cut was when he took Long Xiang to the Long family to participate in the clan tournament. Now that he had become the dual king of sword and martial arts, the power produced when he used this move again could be described as shocking. Hiss! Seeing the space being distorted by the heat, the students of the Heavenly Mandate Academy gasped in shock. At that moment, no one paid attention to the void palm that was pressing down. All eyes were locked on the scarlet sky raging flame cut. This was because whether it was the power or the momentum, it could be seen at a glance. Boom! The flame cut and the giant palm collided violently. The explosive power of the former directly cut the latter in half. Even more valiant was that the area where the scarlet sky raging flame cut was actually scorched black. From the perspective of the students, it was as if the space had been directly cut open. Powerful. Too powerful. Who was this young man who was similar in age to them? How could he have such a terrifying cultivation? Princess Red Lotus was also astonished. To be able to directly break the saint-level void palm, the level of the martial arts technique he used must be extremely high. Could it be? Princess Red Lotus was shocked. Is it a divine-level fire elemental martial arts technique? Strictly speaking, the mid-level divine-level Scarlet Sky Raging Flame Cut was not a fire elemental martial arts technique. Ordinary martial arts cultivators could also cultivate it. However, if they had a fire elemental attribute, it would be very beneficial for their cultivation and execution. Whoosh whoosh. At that moment, in the void where the mark was left, a vast power erupted again. In an instant, two giant palm prints were condensed and pressed down in a rush. Still probing. Jun Changshao shook his head. Once again, he condensed scorching flames and slashed out two scarlet sky raging flame cuts. Although it looked casual, its power was equally explosive. Boom! Boom! Flames erupted, and heat waves swept across. In the sky above the Heavenly Mandate Academy, 3 traces of flames were left. It was as if 3 cracks had been torn open. The students were stunned speechless. For someone of the same age as him to be able to explode with such power and break through the void palm so easily, this was simply too terrifying. Students who could enter the Heavenly Mandate Academy were all talented and proud. However, when they witnessed Jun Changxiao's attack with their own eyes, there was only one word in their heart's admiration. Ha ha ha. At that moment, a sloppy-looking old man appeared in their field of vision. He stroked his beard and said, "You have such rich spiritual energy at such a young age. No wonder you are the leader of the Iron Bone clan who dares to go against the Xinjiang County." Although this person's eyes were cloudy, the aura around him was very strong. Jun Changshao immediately judged that his cultivation was at least at the peak of the martial lord realm. The leader of the Iron Bone clan? He is Jun Changshao. The eyes of the students of the Heavenly Mandate Academy were burning. He had won more than 70 battles on the Sacred Spring Mountain, destroyed 4 evil sects in a row in Huayang County, set up a life and death arena at the foot of the mountain, and destroyed the White Tiger Corps outside Qingyang City. Any of these things that Iron Bone had done could cause a huge sensation in southwest Yangzhou. The students of the academy had naturally heard of them. To be exact, they had heard of him like thunder. They often talked about him and worshipped him. Seeing Princess Red Lotus, Lu Wancher was so excited that she turned into a little fangirl. Many students of the academy also turned into little fangirls and fanboys when they learned of Jun Changxiao's identity. A person of the same age as them could do so many great things. This would definitely make many young people feel a strong sense of admiration. In a short time, Master Jun's position was surrounded by students of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. They were just short of taking out their light sticks to cheer for their idol. "Master." Lu Wancher transmitted her voice, "You are so popular." Jun Changshao was also very surprised. However, he said calmly, "The eyes of the masses are bright. They naturally know who is the strongest and who to worship." Chapter 509. In the Falling Star Continent, martial arts were respected. The Iron Bone clan leader, who was about the same age as him, was powerful and had done so many things. Naturally, he was admired by the students of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. However, most of the people who admired Jun Changshao were ordinary students. The real geniuses did not appear. Instead, they stood in the distance and watched. Their faces were a little red and ugly. The higher-ups of the academy invited Jun Changshao, and they learned about it in advance through various channels. Many of them were proud and arrogant. They were waiting for the arrival of the Iron Bone clan leader. They wanted to fight with him and see if he was as strong as the rumors said. The protagonist came to the academy and was targeted by various geniuses. This was definitely the most common plot. However, what surprised the geniuses of the academy was that the higher-ups of the academy first sent a peak martial king to test him. He even used the holy grade martial technique, Void Palm. He was just the leader of a sect. Wasn't his probing a little too high? When Jun Changshao unleashed his fire element and broke the first Void Palm, these geniuses widened their eyes. Then, he broke the last two moves one after another. They were completely dumbfounded. That guy was really terrifying. If the higher-ups did not make a move and they challenged him, they would definitely be overestimating themselves. Young Master Chu, didn't you say you wanted to spar with clan leader Jun? In the pavilion by the pond, a student smiled lazily. The man called young Master Chu's mouth twitched. There were also a few other students of the academy gathered here. They were all extraordinary and imposing. Since the establishment of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, there had been a hero list. Those who could enter the list were all talented people. These were the geniuses on the hero list. They were ranked very high. If the higher-ups of the academy did not send a peak martial king to test him, they might have fought with clan leader Jun. A genius student said bitterly, "I didn't expect this person to be so powerful. We are as weak as ants in front of him." The lazy youth grinned and said, "I said from the beginning that the Iron Bone sect leader is not simple to be able to do so many things. You didn't believe me and insisted on bickering with me. Now it's time to slap your faces." Humph. The man called young Master Chu snorted and then turned to leave. The other geniuses on the hero ranking also left. Many people secretly rejoiced that it was fortunate that the higher-ups of the academy had made a move first to test the waters. Otherwise, if they were to fight Jun Changshao, they would definitely embarrass themselves in public. Surrounded by a group of fans, Jun Changshao wore a cap, a pair of sunglasses, and a mask. Escorted by several bodyguards in black, he entered the reception hall of the school from the airport, looking like a superstar. Sect Master Jun, the vice president said, "Please wait for a moment." With that, he cupped his hands and left. Jun Changshao carefully examined the interior and found that there were many portraits of ancient people hanging on the walls. There were also detailed introductions. Princess Red Lotus's eyes were filled with admiration as she said, "These seniors are all cultivators nurtured by the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Even the weakest of them is at the level of Wu Huang." Jun Changshao was astonished. There were at least 20 portraits hanging on the wall. In other words, the Heavenly Mandate Academy had nurtured more than 20 Wu Huangs over the years. Awesome indeed. Princess. Jun Changshao asked curiously, "How many students are there in the Heavenly Mandate Academy?" 16,000, Princess Red Lotus said. Only 16,000? Jun Changshao thought that such a great academy with such a heritage would have at least 100,000 students. Princess Red Lotus said, "To enter the academy, one must not only have extremely high martial arts aptitude, but also fit the recruitment period. Therefore, there are not many students." Oh. Jun Changshao responded and said, "Are these students not affiliated with any sects?" "They are not affiliated with any sects," Princess Red Lotus said. The Heavenly Mandate Academy's external recruitment targets were ordinary youths or direct descendants of clans. They would not recruit those who belonged to any sections. Jun Changshao said, "Since they are not affiliated with any sects, the academy won't object to me recruiting disciples here, right? No objection, Princess Red Lotus said. Jun Changshao thought to himself, with so many students idolizing me, I will definitely be able to recruit many in a while. But, Princess Red Lotus added, if you want to recruit disciples in the academy, you need to obtain approval from the higher-ups. Understood, Jun Changshao said. Princess Red Lotus said casually, Sect leader Jun used a fire elemental martial arts technique just now, right? She could have left with the deputy headmaster, but she stayed here because she was interested in the crimson sky raging flame slash. Ah. Jun Changshao said, you can say so. Princess Red Lotus said enviously, to be able to break the void palm, Sect leader Jun's martial arts technique must be of high quality. It's alright. Jun Changshao thought to himself, it seems that this woman is interested in the crimson sky raging flame slash. At this moment, an old man with the demeanor of a transcendent being walked in from outside. The aura he exuded was extremely dense. Headmaster. Princess Red Lotus hurriedly stood up and greeted him. The person who came was the current headmaster of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, Situ Haoyun. Jun Changshao thought to himself, what is this person's cultivation level? Chapter 510. Jun Changshao came to the Heavenly Mandate Academy with the intention of recruiting disciples, but he was recruited by the Dean and Princess Red Lotus first. This was awkward. The Heavenly Mandate Academy's power and resources were definitely stronger than those of Iron Bone. If Jun Changshao became an instructor of the academy, he would definitely make a profit. But he had to refuse. There was no other way. There was a soul bomb in the space ring, so he couldn't give up on the sect. Besides, being an instructor was equivalent to being confined to the academy, which was far less free than being the leader of a sect. Dean, Princess. Jun Changshao said seriously, Jun is devoted to the sect and will not be an instructor of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Situ Haoyun said, won't you consider it? No, Jun Changshao said. Sigh. Situ Haoyun sighed and said, it's a loss for the Heavenly Mandate Academy and Southwest Yangzhou if sect leader Jun doesn't become an instructor. The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. This damned old man, he thought too highly of himself. Dean. He clasped his hands and said, in fact, there is no difference between teaching students in the academy and teaching students elsewhere. Situ Haoyun said, what do you mean? Jun Changshao said, the aptitude of the students in the academy is very good. If they enter Iron Bone to cultivate, they will definitely become the cream of the crop. It was Situ Haoyun's turn to twitch his mouth. I recruited you as an instructor, but you were thinking about the students in the academy. Besides, Jun Changshao said confidently, the students will graduate one day and enter society. My Iron Bone has unlimited potential and is definitely worth joining. Sorry. Let's see who is better at bluffing. I won't back down. Situ Haoyun smiled and said, the students have their own choices. Whether they join Iron Bone or not, I can't make the decision. The Heavenly Mandate Academy only taught students martial arts and naturally did not interfere in other matters. That was exactly the case. On the streets outside the academy, there were many sex offices. Every day, they tried their best to recruit students who did not belong to any sect. Dean. Jun Changshao said, Jun wishes to recruit disciples from the academy. Please approve. It's possible. Situ Haoyun said, however, I have a request. What is it? Jun Changshao asked. Situ Haoyun smiled and said, since clan leader Jun has no intention of joining the Heavenly Mandate Academy, why don't you become an honorary teacher? Huh? Jun Changshao was stunned. Situ Haoyun said, Sect Master Jun doesn't have to stay in the academy all the time. You can come here occasionally to teach the students. This, Jun Changshao began to ponder. Besides, Situ Haoyun continued, although you're a mentor in name, you still enjoy the benefits of a formal mentor and receive a fixed amount of spirit stones every month. Sure, Jun Changshao said. The system, this guy must have agreed so decisively because of the spirit stones. Damn. He was still the sect leader of the Iron Bone Upright Sect. A few spirit stones made him lose his principles. Bah. Sect Master Jun agreed to be an honorary teacher, but he had to make it clear in advance that there was not enough time. He might not come to the academy for a few months or even a few years. No problem, Situ Haoyun said. He agreed to this. Was he so charming? Just as Jun Changshao was muttering in his heart, Situ Haoyun smiled and said, Sect Master Jun should have time now to give the students some pointers. He really had the time. Red Lotus. Situ Haoyun said, take Sect Master Jun to the Jueying Hall. Yes. Princess Red Lotus smiled and said, Sect Master Jun, please. In order to obtain the right to recruit students, Jun Changshao became an honorary teacher of the Heavenly Mandate Academy and enjoyed the benefits of a formal mentor. If this were to spread, people would be envious. One had to know that the teachers of the Heavenly Mandate Academy were highly respected by the world. With this status, they would be treated as distinguished guests in any city in southwest Yangzhou. So here was the problem. Was Sect Master Jun qualified to be a teacher? Situ Haoyun asked him to teach the students now because he wanted to observe. Sect Master Jun, Princess Red Lotus led Jun Changshao and Lu Wanshi in the corridor and said, we are going to the Jueying Hall. Oh. Sect Master Jun nodded. Princess Red Lotus said, the Jueying Hall is the highest standard school in the Heavenly Mandate Academy. There are many extraordinary geniuses. Is that so? Jun Changshao's interest was piqued. If he could pick geniuses from the Jueying Hall and take them in, he would be delighted. Princess Red Lotus continued, however, these geniuses are all proud and arrogant people. Ordinary teachers may not be able to gain their recognition. Ha! Jun Changshao said, Princess Red Lotus, do you mean that the students of the Jueying Hall are all troublemakers? You can think of it that way, Princess Red Lotus said. Jun Changshao smiled faintly and said, since I, Jun Changshao, am a teacher, there are no students that I cannot control. The Jueying Hall was located in the picturesque South Academy. There were other schools in it. It could be said that it was the gathering place of the top geniuses of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. They had just entered the academy. The students they casually met were all level 7 or 8 martial masters. Not bad, Jun Changshao said. Lu Wanshi, who was following behind, had a calm expression. She said to herself, these students are far inferior to second brother and the others. Princess Red Lotus led the two of them and stopped in front of the Jueying Hall. She said, Sect Master Jun, this is the Jueying Hall. Yes. Jun Changshao stepped in. The Jueying Hall was not too big. It was about 200 square meters. There were many tables and chairs in a mess. Dozens of students in uniform were whispering to each other. Among them were the students who had appeared in the pavilion by the pond. When Jun Changshao walked in, everyone turned to look at him. Their eyes were filled with surprise. Young Master Chu. Someone whispered, why is he here? Young Master Chu put his legs on the table. The corners of his mouth curled up in disdain. Sitting next to him, a lazy youth who seemed to have never woken up grinned and said, Sect Master Jun, why are you here at the Jueying Hall? To guide you in martial arts. Jun Changshao stood on the podium with his hands behind his back. He glanced at the students present. When he saw young Master Chu, who had his legs on the table, looking sloppy, he thought to himself, this should be a troublemaker. Guide us in martial arts? The students in the Jueying Hall immediately laughed. Sect Master Jun, young Master Chu said calmly, although you are very strong, I'm afraid you are not qualified to guide us. I'll have to trouble this student to put your legs down and put your hands on the table. Jun Changshao said with a smile. Young Master Chu said proudly, this is what I like to do, whoosh. Jun Changshao appeared in front of him. He grabbed his collar and pressed him to the ground with a bang. This sudden attack was too fast. The students in the Jueying Hall did not notice it at all. When they saw young Master Chu being pressed to the ground, they were all dumbfounded. Kid. Jun Changshao said with a cold gaze, the first lesson I will teach you today is how to respect your teacher. You. Young Master Chu's eyes were filled with anger. Whoosh. Jun Changshao lifted him up and tossed him aside, causing him to crash into the wall. Then, he swept his gaze over the stupefied students and said in a deep voice, remember, when you speak to me, the first thing you call me is Teacher Jun. Chapter 5:11. Jueying Hall. It was meant to gather all the heroes in the world. There were a total of 39 students in this hall. Although it couldn't be compared to the hundreds of other halls, each of them had a prominent status. For example, the seemingly sleepy young man was the young master of the Hua family, one of the 8 major families in the imperial city. Most of the others were direct descendants of the families in other counties. Mu Honglian, the princess of the imperial city, was one of the students of Jueying Hall. However, she was about to graduate and rarely came to the hall for routine classes. Not counting her. The student with the highest status in Jueying Hall was Chu Xiunan. He came from the Chu family, the head of the 8 major families in the imperial city. It was precisely because of the prominent status of the students of Jueying Hall that no teachers were willing to teach them because they were all existences that they couldn't afford to offend. Moreover, they were all proud and arrogant, boasting that they were extraordinary. They didn't care about ordinary teachers at all and would chase away anyone who came. This batch of Jueying Hall students were the best in terms of aptitude and were the most difficult to discipline. Situ Haoyun had a splitting headache. Over time, he could only let them develop on their own. When Jun Changshao agreed to be an honorary teacher, he decided to let him try. Dean. The vice dean frowned and said, Jun Changshao likes to cause trouble. I'm afraid that something big will happen if he instructs the students of Jueying Hall. Boom. Boom. At this moment, a deafening sound was heard. The ground and furniture trembled. What's the situation? The vice dean's expression changed. He released his spiritual senses to spy in the direction of the sound and finally locked onto Jueying Hall in the southern district. In the hall, Jun Changshao punched the wall wildly with both fists. Whoosh whoosh, psionic power exploded and the airwaves roared. A moment later, Sect leader Jun stopped. After everything dissipated, the wall was densely cracked. Chu Xiunan was sunken in it. His nose was bruised and his face was swollen. He was foaming at the mouth. Dean. The vice dean said in shock, that guy beat Chu Xiunan. Really? Situ Haoyun laughed. The dean was laughing. He could still laugh. The vice dean said in a low voice, if a teacher beats a student, it will definitely affect the reputation of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Dean, why did you leave? I'm a little sleepy. Let's sleep. The vice dean was left hanging on the spot. His expression was extremely interesting. He thought to himself, are they going to let Jun Changshao do whatever he wants in the academy? When Situ Haoyun walked out of the meeting hall, he sighed and said, if it weren't for my status as the dean, I would have beaten up that Chu clan's direct descendant. Schwa. Jun Changshao stepped on the chair with one foot and said with a cold gaze, you dare to whisper in my ear during my class. You have no respect for your elders. You will end up like this brat. Everyone shuddered, and their eyes were filled with shock. Without saying a word, he pulled young Master Chu out and beat him up. This guy was really ruthless. Pa! A student slammed the table and raged, Jun Changshao, you're not fit to be an instructor for bullying students like this. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Jun Changxiao's fist landed directly on his face, and his whole body crashed into the wall like a cannonball. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Jun Changshao retracted his fist and said in an indisputable tone, anyone who doubts me must suffer the iron fist of love. Princess Red Lotus was speechless. Was he here to guide students or to beat them up? This is too much. Boom, I want to complain. Boom, I would rather die than be humiliated. Boom, in just a moment, more than 10 students who had opinions about sect leader Jun in the assembly hall all suffered his iron fist of love. That feeling was exhilarating. Pa! Jun Changshao returned to the podium and glanced at the other students coldly. He said in a cold voice, freedom of speech. Anyone who has opinions about me can speak up. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched violently. Freedom of speech was free, but if they had opinions about you, they would definitely be beaten up. Tell me loudly. Jun Changshao shouted, who else has opinions? The lazy young man stood up from his chair and shouted, Teacher Tsang Jun, I have no objections. Remove the word song. Teacher Tsang, I have no objections. Boom! Jun Changshao sent him flying with a punch and roared, I said to remove the word Tsang, not Jun. Ming, the young man fell from the wall and foamed at the mouth. I understand. In Jun Changxiao's opinion, the so-called assembly hall was just the giant infant hall. If he wanted to guide them, he had to first beat them until they were obedient. The effect was not bad. After the students who had opinions were beaten up, they sat upright like obedient babies. To be honest, they were just asking for a beating. A beating would be enough. Although Chu Shionan's eyes were filled with hatred, he still sat upright with a big bump on his head. He thought to himself, despicable fellow, I will remember this. Jun Changshao said, it is your supreme honor that I took the time to guide you in martial arts. TSK. The students despised him in their hearts. They recognized Jun Changxiao's strength. After all, he was a sword and martial arts king. But to be a teacher, he did not rely on martial arts, but martial arts. A person who was about the same age as them, even if his cultivation was outstanding, how could he have the experience to guide them in martial arts? The students of the assembly hall did not approve of Jun Changshao. Most of them did not want to admit that he knew martial arts and martial arts. Otherwise, it would be too much of a blow to their self-esteem. Time is limited. Jun Changshao said, if you have any problems in martial arts, you can raise them. I will answer them one by one. Teacher Jun. Huo Ling, who was lazy before, was now full of energy, said, I have a problem in martial arts that I would like to consult you on. Speak. Jun Changshao said. Huo Ling told him about the trouble he had encountered in martial arts. Sect leader Jun, who had crushed the insight talisman, explained to him seriously from the incantation to the method of operation. I see. Huo Ling was enlightened, his eyes filled with admiration. After teacher Jun's guidance, this student is enlightened. Humph! Chu Shionan snorted in a low voice and thought to himself, what a spineless fellow. Teacher Jun. A student said, I also have some doubts about martial arts. Speak. Teacher Jun, I also have some doubts. Teacher Jun, a few students asked questions one after another. Sect leader Jun did not refuse any of them. He explained to them one by one, enlightening them. Princess Red Lotus, who had been standing outside, had a look of surprise in her eyes. She thought to herself, as the rumors say, his martial arts attainments are extremely high. Teacher Jun. At this moment, Chu Shionan said indifferently, you are so knowledgeable. The disciples you nurture must be very strong, right? Of course, Jun Changshao said. Chu Xiunan said indifferently, I wonder if there is a chance to spar with an iron bone disciple. Ha! This kid actually dares to challenge my disciple. He is really bold. Chapter 5:12. Chu Xiunan wanted to challenge an iron bone disciple. Unfortunately, sect leader Jun didn't bring Li Qingyang and the others. Otherwise, he would be taught a lesson. The aptitude of the Juying Hall's students wasn't bad, but their cultivation wasn't good. The average level was only a 5th or 6th grade martial master. Not to mention the iron bone inner disciples, even the outer disciples could beat them to a pulp. Sect leader. At this moment, Lu Wancher, who had been standing outside the hall, said, I'm willing to spar with him. That's right. There was still Du. Although he was a chef in iron bone, he was still a disciple. Kid. Jun Changshao said, I'll give you a chance to challenge my iron bone disciple. Looking at the girl who was only 11 or 12 years old, Chu Xiunan felt humiliated, so he said angrily, Teacher Jun, do you think I, Chu Xiunan, will challenge a little girl? Jun Changshao shook his head and said, you can't win against her. Can't win against her? Chu Xiunan clenched his fists and gritted his teeth, Teacher Jun, don't underestimate me. He was a direct descendant of the Chu clan, the head of the 8 major clans in the capital. He had the best spiritual root. If he couldn't win against a little girl, was he worthy of being a martial cultivator? You don't believe me? Jun Changshao said, fight with my disciple and you'll know. Okay. Chu Xiunan stood up and said angrily, let's fight. Although he knew that winning against this little girl wasn't worth showing off, he couldn't let the Iron Bone sect leader look down on him. Men. They should have dignity that couldn't be blasphemed. Circle it and wait for the test. Teacher Jun actually let a little girl fight with young Master Chu. Isn't this looking for a beating? I heard that the Iron Bone disciples are very strong, but if such a little girl can win against young Master Chu, that would be strange. In my opinion, Teacher Jun is deliberately angering young Master Chu. There was a small martial arts practice field outside the Juying Hall. At this moment, Huo Ling and the others were standing beside it and whispering. From their words, it wasn't hard to see that they didn't think highly of Lu Wancher. That was true. So young, and a girl. It was a little unrealistic to spar with the Chu clan's outstanding. Beep beep. Jun Changshao transmitted his voice, he is a 6th grade martial master. Do you have the confidence to defeat him? I'm confident. Although Lu Wancher was only a rank 4 martial master, she relied on the sect's resources and martial arts facilities to raise her cultivation. More importantly, when Lu Qianqian was in the sect, she taught her a lot of martial arts. Unfortunately, our little lowly Lu was always in contact with food and had almost never fought. It was very easy for people to forget that she was actually an authentic armament cultivator. Who? Lu Wancher took a deep breath. She raised her head to look at the sky and said, Senior brothers, this is the first time Dudu is fighting with someone. You must protect me. If Li Qingyang and the others heard this, they would definitely fall to the ground. Lass. We're still alive, so what are you looking up at? Can we begin? On the practice field, Chu Xiunan was already prepared, but impatience hung on his face. Wait. Lu Wancher said, I'll eat something first. As she spoke, she took out a bowl of strength fried rice from her interspatial ring and began to eat. The Assembly of Heroes Hall students were stunned. Eating before a battle, was she so particular? However, everyone sniffed the smell of the fried rice and secretly exclaimed, it's so fragrant. After eating the fried rice, Lu Wancher's body was filled with strength. She then waved her small hand and said with battle intent, we can begin. Shua. Just as she finished speaking, Chu Xiunan used his movement technique and rushed over. Spiritual energy gathered in his palms. A shockwave-like energy burst out. Self-slash. Lu Wanshi raised her hand and slashed down. A crescent-shaped flowing light flew out close to the ground and collided with the shockwave. Chu Xiunan's eyes were filled with surprise. This little girl could actually use spirit force type martial arts so skillfully. It seemed that she had some ability. Shua! 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 Lu Wanshi's two hands kept waving. One after another, self-slash burst out. Oh my god! The Assembly of Heroes Hall students widened their eyes. A 12-year-old girl was able to use spirit force type martial arts without restraint. How much spiritual energy did she have in her dantian? Not good. Chu Xiunan frowned and used his movement technique to dodge. Peng! 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 Self-slash flew past him and hit the stone floor. Chu Xiunan stabilized his body and said, "At such a young age, you have such strength. Not bad." Shua! Lu Wanshi used cloud-treading steps and rushed over like a petite elf. At the same time, she used landslide fist. Boom! Although Chu Xiunan dodged, the energy that blasted past him shocked him. Self-slash. Boom! Lu Wanshi took this opportunity to use spirit force type martial arts that consumed very little. She successfully blasted Chu Xiunan's back and forced him back a few steps. Damn it! Young Master Chu was furious. However, just as he stabilized his body, he felt the wind whistling and a few more flowing lights burst out. Peng! Peng! Boom! 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 The petite Lu Wanshi used her Sect's martial arts. Sometimes she used landslide fist and sometimes she used self-slash. Her attacks were very impressive. Chu Xiunan fell into a passive state and couldn't make an effective counterattack. He finally found a flaw in Lu Wanshi's attacks and used a tricky angle to attack. In the end, the other's body was covered in rainbow-colored armor. When he hit it, he felt numb from the impact. The spirit armor turned into a rainbow color, which suited the little loli's cute young girl heart. Shua! Shua! Lu Wanshi used cloud-treading steps and circled behind Chu Xiunan. She used landslide fist and landslide fist. Peng! Thump, thump, thump. Chu Xiunan retreated a dozen steps and almost fell on his butt. This wasn't a weak little loli that could be pushed down easily. This was King Kong Barbie. Hua Ling and the others stared with their eyes wide open and their mouths agape. A little girl had such strength. Wouldn't an adult Iron Bone disciple be even more terrifying? Very terrifying. Any one of them would be able to beat the geniuses of Assembly of Heroes Hall. Boom! Lu Wanshi used cloud-treading steps and rushed over again. She used landslide fist and hit Chu Xiunan from the east to the west. After 2 punches, young Master Chu was at an absolute disadvantage. What awaited him was being beaten up by loli Lu. Peng! Peng! On the martial arts field, Chu Xiunan was being beaten by Lu Wanshi. Outside the martial arts field, the mouths of the Assembly of Heroes Hall students twitched. At that moment, the pride between their brows and the pride in their bones gradually dissipated under Lu Wanshi's punches. Jun Changshao crossed his arms and shook his head. "You can't even beat Du. What right do you have to be arrogant in front of this seat?" Actually, Chu Xiunan had both talent and strength. He was completely beaten by Lu Wanshi in terms of martial arts. Princess Red Lotus said, "Sect Master Jun being able to raise such an outstanding disciple is truly admirable." This was admirable. If they see the inner disciples of my Iron Bone sect, wouldn't their admiration for me be like the endless torrential river, or like the overflowing yellow river that can't be controlled? Jun Changshao said, "That's enough." Lu Wancher punched Chu Xiunan's back, knocking him out of the martial arts field. He fell to the ground in pain. Thank you for letting me win. The little girl imitated Second's senior brother and cupped her hands. Jun Changshao said, who else wants to spar with my iron bone disciple? Huo Ling and the others were silent. Me. A voice came from behind. At the entrance of the south courtyard, a man in black walked over. Princess Red Lotus said in surprise, why is he here? Who? Jun Changshao said with interest. Princess Red Lotus said, 10th on the hero ranking, Jing Wugo. Chapter 513. Hero List. Jun Changshao had never heard of it before. Princess Red Lotus said, it's a comprehensive ranking of cultivation and strength in our academy. It's similar to the Gathering of Heroes list on the Falling Star continent. I see. Jun Changshao looked at Jing Wugo, who was walking over, and said with a smile, this person should be quite capable. Princess Red Lotus said, students who can enter the top 10 of the hero list can also enter the Gathering of Heroes list. Is that so? This surprised Jun Changshao. Jiang Shenxi, a disciple of the Qian sect, whom he had met at Mount Hua, was ranked 89th in the Earth class. If the top 10 of the hero list could enter the Earth class, their strength and aptitude must be extraordinary. It's Senior Jing. Isn't he in seclusion? Why did he come out? Judging from his aura, he seems to have broken through to Wuzong. The students of the Gathering Heroes Hall were filled with admiration. Only the seniors ranked in the top 10 of the hero roll could make them worship them so willingly. Under everyone's gaze, Jing Wugo stopped. His long hair fluttered, revealing his fair face. He said, Sect leader Jun, I want to challenge your sect's junior. Bang! The iron fist of love landed on his face and sent him flying to the outer wall. Remember. Jun Changshao clenched his fist and said in a deep voice, call me Teacher Jun. Jing Wugo, who was stuck in the wall, said in a weak voice, I understand. Huo Ling and the others' mouths twitched. This teacher was too scary to be violent without a word. Those iron bone upright sect disciples must be living in an abyss of suffering. In fact, it was the opposite. Kid. Jun Changshao said indifferently, I only brought one disciple. If you want to challenge, go to the Iron Bone Mountain yourself. This genius ranked 10th on the hero list was quite strong. He definitely couldn't let Lu Wancher fight with him. Okay. Jing Wugo came down from the wall and rubbed his swollen face. He said with a determined gaze, I will go to the Iron Bone Mountain. If a little girl could defeat Junior Chu, those older Iron Bone school disciples must be stronger. He had to go and meet them no matter what. A genius with extraordinary aptitude. It wasn't for the protagonist to slap their faces. They were also obsessed with martial arts and were more willing to compete with powerful opponents. However, if Jing Wugo really went to the Iron Bone, he would definitely be tortured to the point where he would have no self-esteem left. Because when he stepped into the sect, he would deeply understand that the disciples of this sect were all monsters, all monsters. We can only pray for him in silence that he can leave the mountain safely. Continue with the class. Jun Changshao shouted. Shua! Shua! Huo Ling and the others hurriedly returned to the classroom and sat in front of the table. The dizzy Chu Xiunan also sat down. At this moment, his inviolable dignity as a man had been crushed to pieces, and he wanted nothing more than to lie on the table and wail. He couldn't even beat Lu Wancher, and he actually wanted to challenge Jun Changshao when he came to the academy. Were all the direct descendants of the big clans so arrogant? Sect leader Jun, who had crushed the clear vision talisman, seriously answered the students' questions regarding martial arts. Since he had agreed to be an honorary instructor, he would love to do whatever he wanted. Students from other schools in the southern district heard the news and gathered outside the Jueying Hall, fighting to be the first to ask difficult questions about martial arts. In a short time, hundreds of students gathered outside the classroom, including the instructors of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. At first, they were curious about how high a young man of 18 or 19 years old could be in martial arts. When they saw Jun Changxiao's guidance, they were full of admiration. Any martial technique, any mental cultivation method, could be analyzed from inside to outside, from outside to inside, and provide the correct guidance to it. He was definitely a master of martial arts. Princess Red Lotus murmured, "Iron Bone could rise in such a short time. It is not without reason." "Miss Lu," she asked curiously, "did sect leader Jun teach you this in the sect?" "Huh?" Lu Wanshur was so excited that her idol suddenly talked to her that her little heart was beating wildly. Then she stuttered, No, sect leader was very busy and almost never taught me." This was true. In the sect, Jun Changxiao really did not teach the disciples other than supervising their training. It was not that he was unwilling to use the talisman of insight, but the disciples were all practicing systematic martial arts, and there was no way to observe. Fortunately, most of the systematic martial arts techniques were easy to learn, and Iron Bone disciples could be self-taught. Princess Red Lotus was very surprised. To be able to defeat Chu Xiunan without any guidance, how did he do it? Iron Bone's specialty was not that they had a master of martial arts to teach them, but that they had various resources and facilities to help them grow. Of course, as the Ning brothers became elders, they also had strong masters to teach them. 2 hours later, the effect of the second talisman of insight dissipated. Jun Changxiao said loudly, "Students, today's guidance ends here. Class dismissed." Whoosh! Hua Ling and the others stood up and said loudly, "Teacher Jun, thank you for your hard work. You are teachable." Jun Changxiao nodded with satisfaction and strode out of the classroom. The students outside made way for him, and their eyes were filled with strong admiration. Outside the sports field, he defeated the void palm of the academy's higher-ups. Now, he was teaching them with profound martial arts techniques. Chapter 5:14. Jun Changxiao chatted with the dean for a while, then got up to leave. He was very busy because he still had to go to the certification hall. After all, he had sent someone to invite him yesterday, and Elder Zhou had helped him out in the morning. Red Lotus. Watching Jun Changxiao leave, Situ Haoyun smiled and said, "This Jun Changxiao is not simple." "Yes." Princess Red Lotus said, "He became a dual king of sword and martial arts at such a young age, and he is also a martial arts master. It is hard to predict what he will achieve in the future. Isn't this the person your father is waiting for?" Situ Haoyun smiled. Princess Red Lotus blushed and said, "Dean, you are teasing me again with what happened in the past. 10 years ago. The city lord celebrated his birthday, and all the strong people gathered in the imperial city. At the banquet, Situ Haoyun smiled and said, Princess Red Lotus is very talented. The city lord will have to spend a lot of effort to find a husband for her." Ha ha ha. The city lord laughed and said, "In this world, the only one who can marry my daughter is a dragon among men." Yes. He had drunk a lot, and his words were a little light. What is the standard of a dragon among men that the city lord mentioned? Someone asked. A dual king of sword and martial arts, and a martial arts master, is worthy of my precious daughter, the city lord said loudly. Everyone was silent. How could such a dragon among men be found? The city lord's drunken words were widely spread and became the standard for Princess Red Lotus to find a husband. Dual king of sword and martial arts master. These 2 points had stumped many young talents who admired the princess. To this day, the city lord could only sigh in despair. Because of his drunken words, his daughter was already 18 years old, and no one dared to matchmake her. What should he do if she could not get married in the future? Change his words? Lower the standard? As the city lord, how could he go back on his words? The city lord of Heavenly Mandate Royal City was now in a situation where he had to keep up the pretense after drinking. However, who would have thought? Jun Changshao appeared out of nowhere. Not only did he become a dual king of sword and martial arts, but he was also a martial arts master. Fortunately, the city lord was now in seclusion. If he knew about sect leader Jun, he would definitely take the initiative to greet him, shake hands, and say, "Good, you came in time." Red Lotus. Situ Haoyun returned to the topic at hand and said, "Sect Master Jun's stubborn character has a lot of potential. Since he's sincerely inviting you to join him, you should consider it carefully." "Yes." Princess Red Lotus responded as a complicated glint suffused her eyes. "It's Jun Changshao. This is the first time I've seen someone who was personally invited to the Heavenly Mandate Academy by the Vice Dean. Just now in the market, he was on par with Guardian Jean. It's only natural that he would be invited to the academy. Speaking of which, if this guy is real, who is Jun Changshao from the Southern District? It must be a fake. The soldiers of the Public Security Department are looking for that guy all over the city." On the street, the passers-by were discussing in low voices. Jun Changshao, who was walking with Lu Wanshi, frowned and said to himself, "Forget about that imposter." He had just gained a little bit of fame, and there were already so many people impersonating him. If he were to do something bad, wouldn't it be very troublesome? No. He had to be caught. "Princess." Jun Changshao said telepathically, "If you catch someone impersonating Jun, please inform Jun immediately." Princess Red Lotus, who was in the Heavenly Mandate Academy, received the telepathic message and said, "Dean, please inform Sect Master Jun that I have sealed off the city. The imposter can't escape." Situ Haoyun nodded and conveyed the message to Jun Changshao. This was one of the benefits of becoming a martial king. They could communicate with each other telepathically. The iron bone telepathy technique could also do this, but the flaw was that the target of the message must also have cultivated the telepathy technique. There was a group of warriors outside the certification headquarters because Jun Changshao had been personally welcomed by Elder Zhou when he walked in. First, he was invited by the Vice Dean of the Academy, and now he was welcomed by the Chief of the certification headquarters. Everyone was amazed at how powerful Sect Master Jun was. The Ouyang family has been beaten up. They can only suffer in silence. It's not just suffering in silence. Sect Master Jun said that he was going to visit the Ouyang family. It can't be anything good. I heard that the Ouyang family's direct descendants first scolded the Iron Bone disciples for being bastards, which caused the conflict. In Death Valley, a few evil sects bullied the Iron Bone disciples, but they were all wiped out. It shows that Sect Master Jun is very protective of his disciples. The Ouyang family is unlucky to have offended him. As the two major organizations showed enough respect to Jun Changshao, the situation changed. Many people believed that the Ouyang family was in trouble. In the main hall of the certification headquarters, Yi Tianqing smiled and looked at Jun Changshao, who was sitting at the head of the table, and said, "Sect Master Jun is indeed a talent." "You flatter me," Jun Changshao said humbly. It was hard to imagine that this was the ruthless person who beat up the Ouyang family in a fit of anger for his disciple. Seriously. Sect Master Jun was not arrogant. In many things, he always believed that he would not offend others unless offended. Sect Master Jun, Yi Tianqing smiled and said, "Your sect only took a year to rise from the 9th rate to the 6th rate. Your growth is very fast." When he and the elders received the letter from Deacon Zhao and learned that the Iron Bone had risen from the 7th rate to the 6th rate, they were shocked for a long time. Since the establishment of the certification headquarters, there had never been a sect that could rise so quickly. Master Yi. Jun Chengshao said, "You flatter me." Master Yi. Yi Tianqing was a little confused, but he still smiled and said, "Sect Master Jun seems to have caused a lot of trouble recently." "Don't mention it." Jun Chengshao said gloomily, "They are all third-rate evil sections." Yi Tianqing said, "Although our certification headquarters is not a force, we still have some prestige in the Falling Star continent. If Sect Master Jun encounters a troublesome matter, as long as you ask, we will definitely help you." There was such a good thing. Why didn't you say so earlier? It was not that they didn't want to say it, but that you wanted to keep a low profile and didn't let the certification headquarters announce that your sect was in the top 3. The top 3 sects had unlimited potential. The certification headquarters would definitely take good care of you. But this guy chose to keep a low profile, so he could only play along and pretend that he didn't know anything. With the prestige of the certification headquarters, the 2 third-rate evil sects would definitely not come to harass Iron Bone if they knew that it was in the top 3. Headmaster Yi. Jun Chengshao cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your kindness." Yi Tianqing said, "Sect Master Jun fought for all of this yourself. If the Iron Bone was unknown, it naturally wouldn't have enjoyed such special treatment." These words were very realistic. However, Jun Chengshao agreed and said, "That makes sense. In the cruel otherworld, if you wanted to gain the respect of others, you had to fight for it with your strength." Sect Master Jun and Headmaster Yi had a pleasant conversation and regretted not meeting earlier. They didn't leave until dusk came. "Sect Master." Lu Wanshi smiled and said, "You are also a big shot now. The Dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy and the Headmaster of the Certification Headquarters are all polite to you." "Girl." Jun Chengshao said telepathically, "Don't be blinded by appearances. These old men are very bad. They must have a purpose for being so nice to me." "What purpose?" Lu Wanshi asked. Jun Chengshao shook his head and said, "Who can guess?" At present, he could only guess that Situ Haoyun was so friendly to him that he might want to recruit him as a teacher. As for Yi Tianqing, it was hard to guess. One shouldn't have the intention to harm others, but one should always be vigilant. Living in the other world, one had to be cautious. Headmaster. Elder Zhou said, "If Sect Master Jun and his sect can develop steadily, they will definitely have a place in southwest Yangzhou in the future."